Why did you say they go so delayed?
Because I reached forward for the mouse because I'm sitting in the co-op configuration.
It's my fault.
Co-op configuration?
Yeah, well
I put
we have to
obstacles
fit
in
two
front of the
people at a
mouse.
desk, and there's two
Right.
microphones in opposite directions from the desk, and that it's really hard to sit in front of the keyboard and mouse.
We're like
when
we're like
using
news
the microphones.
anchors. That's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
I can't use any of this, can I?
It's kind of
Like-
cold out today.
It's a reaction to a countdown no one heard. Whatever.
Yeah,
fuck it.
it was,
Welcome to this is the please stop talking level of intro professionalism. Everybody, Stephanie's back. It's been a while.
Hi.
She's here.
I work a lot of Sundays.
real.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was very wrong when I thought
Yeah.
she'd be available for this podcast
You were
as a general thing.
You were like, yeah, you don't usually don't work Sundays. I'm like, no, I never said this.
Yeah.
That's
I must have just misinterpreted some kind of conversation because I thought we literally talked about it. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm available Sundays, and then you probably literally said, hey, I work on Sundays.
or like, hey, I'm available this one Sunday.
Yeah, you might have been available that Sunday, and I failed to specify or clarify or something. But I definitely thought it'd be more common. But anyway, all the way back in episode 1, over a year ago, we did a movie. We agreed that the next episode, which turned into 2 episodes, was going to be us talking about like movie recommendations. And so I figured Stephanie could finally get hers out of the way because
Oh yeah,
Wow,
that's
Damn, that
right.
was so fucking long ago.
I still remember
Recommend
that,
us
and
some
she
movies.
seems to have a journal.
So okay, so this is what I did. So like earlier today, Keith was like, "Oh yeah, you're home today." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You want to be on the podcast?"
Would
I
you
was
like
like,
to lose your day?
I was like, "Yeah." So he's like, "Oh yeah, I remember that thing. You have to answer that question about Netflix." I'm like, "Fuck, I haven't watched Netflix for things that were not documentaries in like a long ass time." And it has occurred to me that that's basically what I use Netflix for now.
We did break the Netflix rule anyway during that, so we pretty much just recommended things.
Well, I did actually. I went and I sat and I was like, okay, I'm gonna look through. And basically what I did is I looked through Netflix's like acclaimed films because I'm just gonna find films I like that just so happen to be on Netflix. That's just like that's the easiest way to do this. But I did realize that there's actually some like Netflix has some pretty bomb documentaries. So I wrote down the best ones of those too.
Are you gonna do documentary recommendations?
I actually like Netflix is. I mean, it's hit and miss, but they make so many that they're bound to have like some gems in there. But there's some that are significantly they're pretty bomb. But as far as like movies that are on Netflix that I just happen to like, because I don't like a lot of Netflix originals. I think they do some good anime. I'll say they did some good anime adaptations I like. But as far as their films, I'm not like super into them. I think the only Netflix film I found that I liked that they made was that I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. I didn't realize that was a Netflix movie. That
Oh,
I don't feel at home in this world
that
anymore.
was on my list.
Which is the longest fucking title, but it's the Elijah Wood one. But yeah, no other Netflix like original I looked at. I was like, no, none of these. But the ones I put down that are just good, like the first 5 that I saw that I'm like, oh, those are all just actually good movies. I put Magnolia. Uncut Gems was actually really good. I know people like don't remember that Adam Sandler's a good actor, but if you want to remind yourself that he's like doing bullshit movies just because you can watch that movie and remember that he's actually a good actor in it.
He's been Bruce Willising for decades.
Well, he's just like, paycheck,
just like
please.
Bruce Willis.
Paycheck, please, and give my friends like something to do. So like they put all of his friends in his dumb comedy movies that really suck. But Uncut Gems was really good. I put Snowpiercer because that movie's great. I also put Good Time, which I don't think anyone saw, but that was like one of those movies I think should have gotten an Oscar, especially for its soundtrack. I think it was nominated, but it did not win, I don't think. And that one has the guy from
what is Good Time?
Good Time has the guy from Twilight, whose name I always forget, Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson, yeah.
And it's just it's about a guy that like I think he fucks up a drug deal, and he has like a neurodivergent brother who's an adult who gets basically put in jail as a result of like that something criminal that they did. And the whole movie is about him trying to find a way to, I think, get enough money for bail, and it all takes place in one night. And he's like trying to help his brother out of jail. And his brother, like, he knows it's not going to do well in jail because his brother, like, has problems and that they're not going to understand him. So he's just like a bad person trying to, like, redeem himself. And it all just takes place over at one night time. But it's a bunch of hijinks as he tries to, like, get money. And
both of the main Twilight actors are really good in everything besides Twilight.
oh yeah, no,
But
yeah,
not
honestly.
Taylor Lautner. He's actually garbage.
Well, he was great in Shark Boy.
Wow.
Okay,
Was he though?
He was great in Shark Boy. I mean, he was a child actor, so that's still debatable. Like,
I mean, if Shark Boy and Lava Girl was on Netflix, I would have put that down as a recommended film for sure, guys. Like,
He has
Is it
never been
not?
able to act in anything.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I didn't look into whether or not Shark Boy and Lava Girl is on Netflix, but I don't know. It might
You
be.
think that's a hot commodity these days?
I liked Spy Kids 3D, where Steve Buscemi,
Where Elijah Wood's in it
where
for
Steve
1
Buscemi's
second.
in it, and he has that line about like God being afraid. He's like, "Does God stay in heaven because he too is afraid of what he's created?" And that was a meme I used for a solid year. That was a great one.
I saw that in theaters.
I did too.
The 3D was not good.
No,
It was horrible.
it was a gimmick.
And yeah, but it was really bad as a gimmick. And the movie was also the worst Spy Kids movie, like by far. When those were like surprisingly good, like they kind of hold up, and that one's really, really, really bad. But hey, Elijah Wood's in it for 5 seconds, and then he dies.
Oh yeah, I always
Yep.
fucking forget that.
He shows up as like, I think it's supposed to look like he's like the hero that's going to save everyone, like he's the competent protagonist player or some shit, and then he's immediately gone. And I'm like, hey, Elijah Wood, that's weird. He's taller than I thought he was.
Well,
Because I think that might have been the first cameo. Or not cameo, but that's the first role I'd ever seen him in.
It's cameo.
That wasn't
It's
Lord
kinda
of the
funny.
Rings.
you mean he isn't just that small in real
Yeah.
life? Wow.
I mean, he was even
It's a
smaller in the
cameo
other
of
movie I saw him
Frodo.
in, where he was a child, as opposite Macaulay Culkin.
Opposite Macaulay Culkin.
We need to go.
Isn't Elijah
We need
Wood
to go
in
over all
Good
these
Son?
5 movies, though.
I don't think I've ever seen. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, so I said Magnolia, which that's if you want to feel fucking really, if you want to cry for a long time.
It's from 1999, December 17th.
Do you know that, or did you look that up?
No, I looked it up because I don't know any of these ones, so I have to
No.
at least.
No, Magnolia is a
proactive-
Paul
No,
Thomas
Colonel doesn't
Anderson
watch
film,
movies.
and it basically it's like it's a perspective of several different people, all. It also takes place all on the same day. But the thing is there's like preconceived notions that you'll have about each one of these individuals that basically gets tested as the movie goes on. Because there's a bunch of characters that are kind of come off as like maybe scummy or bad. It's got a lot of great people in it. Tom Cruise plays a like motivational speaker kind of cult leader guy. Which is really funny to see him in a role like that because he kind of is like that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Next, you're going to tell me that Gwyneth Paltrow was one of the first people to die in a pandemic.
Not in this movie, unfortunately. But and it's got Dr. Steve Brule, who's I also forget his name all the time. Dr. Steve Brule, or the guy from
Dr. Steve Brule.
Talladega Nights, the second two.
Jeremy Blackman?
Oh.
No. He's not the main guy.
Dr. Funnymans.
Yeah,
he's Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, he's Wreck-It Ralph.
Curly hair.
He's very
man.
distinct looking. He's also in the Sisters Brothers. I'm gonna have to fucking look
That
it up.
planet doesn't have a name yet. It's too far away.
Huh?
The fucking because he's in the Worthy Kids animation that's of a show.
Oh yeah, no. Dr. Steve Rule's a really great
You can
show.
name it after Grandma.
Especially if you're like, super-
John C. Riley.
Thank you,
John
John
C.
C. Riley. He plays a police officer who like is maybe trying to do a good thing. There's like people who maybe you think might be like drug addicts, and like maybe you feel badly about these people originally. Maybe you have like preconceived notions about maybe Tom Cruise he's taking advantage of people, but maybe he's a misunderstood person, and you realize this later as like all their stories conflate at the end. It's a very good movie. Really, really recommend it. Probably one of the best movies I can think of. But yeah, Uncut Gems, Snowpiercer, because Snowpiercer is just fucking bomb. Everything that guy does
It's great.
is
I need to
fantastic.
watch more of it.
I think I went out of my way to watch every single one of his movies. The only one I have not seen is Okja.
Let's watch Okja. I haven't seen Okja.
Okay,
I was
we'll
literally about
watch
to say
Okja.
that. But I still need to watch. Was it Mother and Parasite?
Mother. Oh my gosh, Mother's so good. That's not on Netflix because I'd
There's a
recommend
lot of
that.
movies called Mother.
Yeah, but it's not the one by
I want to watch that one too.
Darren Aronofsky.
That one looks stressful.
That is one of the most stressful movie experiences I've ever had because it just has a pregnant woman in danger for like an hour straight. And dude, if I see a pregnant lady in a movie that even has like any kind of horror elements, I'm just like, oh fuck, this is gonna be stressful for me. Like, just don't pop that balloon on her belly, please. Like, don't squish it. Like, oh no, like what if she falls? Like, oh no.
The tension in
It's
her,
just-
both in the plot and her literal belly tension.
If I see a really pregnant woman in real life, I'm just like, it just looks stressful. Just face the other way, please. Like,
Bring out the cushions, all the cushions.
so put bubble wrap on that person.
Yeah.
And then I also put, so I couldn't decide between the last one. I put either Raw, which is a French film it's a horror film about a girl who is a vegetarian who eats meat during a hazing, like for college, and becomes a cannibal. And she's trying to repress it throughout the entire movie, but she's having a really hard time. And it is a very anxiety-ridden kind of movie experience, and it's shot really well.
It also has to do with the idea that once you eat human flesh, you transform into this monster that then cannot stop eating human flesh. The becoming a cannibal thing is an interesting thing. But it's a horror movie, so it makes sense, right?
Yeah, and it just it's about loss of control. So like that in itself is like maybe what makes it scary. I was a vegetarian for a very long time, but I always thought to myself that if given the opportunity to eat like a consenting adult human flesh, like I would definitely try it. Mm-hmm. This movie made me maybe reconsider, because if it was too good, that might be a problem. But but no, I definitely would be down. I'd have no qualms with that. If some guy lost his leg and wanted to have a barbecue, and like we could all eat pieces of his leg together, I would be super, super into it. So there. It'd be.
He's taking Barney's message a little too far.
Huh?
Because he's going to share his leg with all of his neighbors. Block party, I lost my leg in an accident. Let's eat it.
No, some guy actually got in trouble for trying to do something like that. Which is, I'm referring to a specific incident.
It's a bad idea.
There's laws covering that.
The other two I put The Machinist, because that movie is just really great. Also really anxiety ridden. Maybe it's just something that draws me into movies. It's got a Christian Bale, and that's the one where he lost an immense amount of weight for that movie. So whenever people like look up like method actors, you look at that movie a lot, because he's got immensely emaciated for that movie.
He's gonna like die 10 years early.
It's about a guy who works in a factory.
Just because of how many times he's like gained and lost massive amounts of weight.
Yeah, no,
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Maybe but he him losing his sanity throughout the movie. It's got a really bleak look to it. It's almost black and white, but it's not. It just has a really industrial look to everything. Because
isn't it a movie about insomnia?
Yeah, and yeah, and he just kind of gets more unhinged, and you start to question whether or not you're. It's one of those like questionable protagonist situations where you're being presented what he knows, but like you don't know if you trust him as he's presenting information to you. Exactly.
Cuckoo's Nest.
The Machinist is from 2004. Wasn't there an age or an era of movies where they just went really into like desaturating colors or removing certain color
it's
gradients
still happening.
It's still happening. Oh my god!
There's
there's
just aggressive color grading in every big movie. I mean, Marvel movies are just what if things were gray? What if we just suck the color out of everything with a little eyedropper?
What did we see? What movie did we just watch? Where we all watched it together. It was a schlocky movie. God, what was? I'm forgetting the name right now, but it's bugging me because this is part of a series. We watched all the shitty ones, and the
Transformers does that as well.
No, but we were talking about how the colors on the beach were so stupid because the blues were like really blue and the oranges, like everyone looked really orange. Was it Tremors?
Oh yeah, Tremors. Yeah, we watched the most recent 2 Tremors since I moved in here, and specifically
There's new Tremors.
Yeah. Yes, there are.
There's I think they're Netflix movies or something. But
okay, there we go.
Because there was like a Cold Day to Die.
I'm recommending those.
And then there's the new one that we just watched, and it was so bad. But yeah, the color grading was so severe. The main character was played by the guy from Napoleon Dynamite, who just
John
can't
Heder.
really act. Like he only can play that character.
He can only make that one face.
He's really weird and awkward. I don't get him being in movies.
He wears a different Hawaiian shirt every day in that movie. Yeah. It's always a Hawaiian shirt.
It's just strange choices, but also like I couldn't get over the color grading was bad. The plot and logic from moment to moment was just all over the place. It's just a bunch of random people that then they just kind of die in an arbitrary order, and then they just run out of characters, and then close it out somewhere. But like, no one is afraid to be on the ground that entire movie. Like the first rule of Tremors never comes up in that movie. Like there is no the floor is lava aspect at all.
No, they never
It's
pop out
so-
of the ground.
it's so
or I guess they
frustrating.
do kind of, but they really didn't want to animate that, so they had they had one scene where there was a dead one, but it was just like a pile of dirt that they spray painted to look
Yeah.
like it was a dead one. It was very confusing because they're looking at a pile of dirt and they're talking about it like it was an animal once, like it was a creature.
Yeah.
And all of us watching the movie are like, is that supposed to be one of them? It's a pile of dirt. Like they couldn't afford to like put a fake one there. So
Yeah,
they just like were talking about a
entire-
pile of dirt and pointing at it.
They set it in like a jungle on an island, so like the entire setting was completely not conducive to this like doing a story of Tremors at all. Like that setting doesn't make any sense. Like they didn't have buildings or like things to hide on or anything.
I mean, have you seen? Did you look? I'm looking at their box office for the latest 3 movies. They never crack 2.5 million. It's all A Cold Day in Hell is less than 1.5 million box office. They have to go for the cheapest place.
It made
Buildings?
less than
What is that?
it only made $1 million.
Can't afford buildings.
According to Wikipedia, anyway.
What?
Yeah, buildings need like.
It made,
Someone has to
um,
build those.
why do they keep making them?
Yeah.
No,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I'm sure it's got to be profitable. Like they wouldn't be making them if
Yeah.
they weren't even unless they're doing a
But also,
a
like,
tax evasion thing,
let's see.
because that happens a lot. If you can make a movie that sucks enough, you can write it off as it could be a tax write off.
What?
There's like a whole
You can do
I think it's also
Yeah.
probably likely they're trying to retain the rights.
There's a lot of
Just
that-
doing the thing where
yeah.
you have to you have to make something to prove that the
God owns
contract
the rights
stays
to this
valid.
fucking worthless franchise that doesn't make us money.
Well, you say that, but like somebody owned the rights to Dune and was like, I guess we'll make something good out of
I'm
it.
pretty
And
sure
then
the whole
suddenly a
series
good
is just a
Dune
vanity
movie came
project
out.
for that guy that's in every single movie.
What's his name? Because I found a whole like he has like a whole Facebook page and he has a whole bunch of fans and there's a ton of memes of him and it made me so happy to see this because he was so. There's only one person who's invested in this movie when you're watching it. There's only one person he's in every movie and he wears the cool cop glasses, the shiny ones, and he is the best character, but he's the only one who's like genuinely into it, and it made me happy because I thought about this old man who like this is his one thing and he's so enthusiastic. And I found a bunch of memes of him because people apparently he's a popular dude. Like people like his moxie.
What I later found out is that there was a Tremors television show, so we're still not completely caught up.
Oh,
There's
gosh.
a 2003 13-episode show, which, among other things, has the weird detail
Oh,
that
Burt Gummer.
it aired
Burt
out
Gummer.
of order
Burt-
for
I
some
was looking-
reason.
yeah.
It originally was aired on the Sci-Fi Channel out of order, which is a key.
Oh, no.
Whenever I hear about shows from the 90s and the 2000s, I always hear about shows that have a chronological like story that just aired in the wrong order on their channels for some reason.
Well,
Like that
because
just
somebody
happened all
says,
the time.
I think
It's
it'd
so
be
weird.
better if you did it like this. And they're
Mi-
usually
Is it
always
Michael
wrong.
Gross is what you meant?
Yeah, Burt Gummer, Michael Gross. But like Burt Gummer memes are like a whole thing. Like I found a whole Facebook page of them.
Oh, the character. That's his
Yeah.
name. Yeah.
And it made me so happy.
No, by the time you get to the 6th movie, they're like the in-universe characters worship him, and it's so cartoonish. Like, oh my god, is that the legendary Burt Gummer?
And he's
The
like,
Gummer
yes,
boy?
I am here. I
He's
will
like-
save everyone.
He's like on some random island in like. He's like on a random island in like a self-imposed exile to escape all of society that happens to be one island away from where the next Tremors outbreak happens.
And he's
so
like-
they go and
he's
they
all
want to get him
shaggy.
out of retirement. They like cut his hair.
He
I
looks
didn't
like a homeless
I didn't
guy.
even recognize
And then
him.
he cuts his hair and he puts the hat back on. You're like, oh my gosh, it's him.
Yeah, I don't think any of us realized it was him at first because he needs to have his full costume because he's not a distinct looking person. So he needs to have that exact shades and hats set up so you could be like, oh, it's that dude exactly.
It's that guy.
Otherwise, you're just like, oh, it's some hobo dude. But yeah, it's a Tremors 2 Aftershocks, Tremors 3 Back to Perfection, Tremors 4 The Legend Begins, Tremors 5 Bloodlines. And that was like a while
Bloodlines is
ago,
the
I think.
most
Yeah, that was
hilarious
2015.
Which is that the last one we saw?
Okay, so
No.
4 was in 2004. Then there's a 10-year gap, which is the new trilogy of too many of them. So Bloodlines was 2015, which we haven't seen together. We watched A Cold Day in Hell like 2 years ago
Yeah.
on Netflix, which is 2018. And then Tremors Shrieker Island is the most recent one. which apparently has a box office of $2 million, and it's from 2020, and it's really bad. The whole thing is so bad. And also they seem to be like, it seems to frame them as passing the franchise off to Jon Heder, which is no. Why? Not only is he bad in the movie or just in general, even by the standards of Tremors actors, but like, why do you want like, why does he want to be the new face of Tremors?
Dude, Jon Heder has nothing else going on.
I guess it's like, it's Jon Heder and like the one of the least prominent Orange is the New Black actors.
Oh yeah,
like,
the chick I knew her instantly, and I was like, oh, it's Cleopatra. Yeah. All I remember is that she had eyeliner. She did like the makeup tutorial show from the jail, and that was like one of her things she did. She always wore like eyeliner, and I liked her. But like,
there's the two fashion girls, and she's the one with the bangs.
Yeah, she was the other one who did the best acting.
And she was like so gung ho in this movie. Yeah. She's just ready to fight a giant worm. She's like, she's been waiting for this her whole life.
Hey, Keith, you know what I put down like as a joke?
What?
What keeps you alive? That was that bad one that we saw with the two lesbians trying to kill each other in the forest. I don't feel like
I might have to. I might have to make that a future commentary video.
I was gonna say, like, I don't want to get into it because we have too much to say.
That's an experience to reveal how many ways that movie.
We had
dumb.
such a blast. Like, it reminds me of this movie where like you just watch some movies because they're just so stupid that it's just fun. That one we got. Oh, and
movie hurt my
your
brain.
Your brother was like, "I'm never watching a movie with you guys again," because like he hated it, and it was really bad. But like we thought it was very funny bad. Like it was pretty fucking. It was pretty choice.
What Keeps You Alive doesn't even have a box office count on Wikipedia.
It's so bad.
All I'm gonna say is like there's two chicks who are dating and they go to a cabin and one of them is so obviously like there to kill the other one and the other one just does not catch on because the one girl's like, I know how to shoot guns and like I'm gonna sing a really ominous song that my dad taught me about like killing people, and also like I'm really good at aiming, like I'm gonna practice right in front of you, like you're gonna see me do a bunch of stuff with knives and like it should scare you but it doesn't. And it's like, girl, you should have left on the first fucking day. Why do you think this girl brought you to the middle of nowhere?
But no, there's a little Easter egg in my Annihilation video where I'm showing all these bad stuff happening in the woods movies, and then I show What Keeps You Alive, and then in the subtitles where we're describing what each movie is. Right under it's like, don't watch this one, it's horrible or something.
One of them gets thrown off a cliff twice. That's all I'm gonna say. Is they used the same thing twice and she lived both times. They didn't even think of a different thing to do. They just did the same thing 2 times in a row.
Oh, you guys are describing it. I said that it doesn't even have a box office thing. Apparently on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 80% based approval rating.
Oh gosh, no.
Those people are wrong.
This is why I never pay attention to that.
I think maybe they just like the premise of the two lesbians trying to kill each other in the woods, because honestly, I would have been down for that premise just on it. I'm like, all right, put me there. I'm ready to watch that.
I don't trust horror movies that have a good score on Rotten Tomatoes a lot of the time. The best Rotten Tomatoes score for a horror movie is like 50. Like really divisive and everyone doesn't know what to make of it. Those are like the really fun ones. Like obviously there's like the 7% that are just like shitty ghost movie trash that are like the same movie every single time, and it's like the really bad version of that kind of movie. And then there's like sometimes there's the prestige movie of the year style thing like Get Out or something, but like usually like the really mixed results ones are like those are the fun ones.
I felt really bad because there was that one movie that just came out recently, Malignant, and and then one of our friends really wanted to watch it, was really excited. And he told me it's by, is it James Wan?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck, this is going to suck. This is going to be so bad. And they got kind of offended, but I was a little bit toasted. So I just was like, this is going to be bad. And then we started watching it. And at one point I laughed so hard for like a solid 2 minutes straight, like hysterically. And I felt like such an asshole because I could not stop it.
I think you were having the intended experience, maybe.
There was a ghost doing parkour and I loved it so, in a trench coat, in a leather trench coat. It made me so happy. It was horrible. But no one else had that. Everyone's like, it was good. I thought it was good. I was like, no, it wasn't, guys. It was not scary.
At the very least, like I saw the Red Letter Media video about it because I haven't seen that movie, but like they seem completely like not much ambiguity there, like convinced that like it's supposed to be funny. like it seems like you got the intended experience and everyone else was watching it wrong, because it sounds like it's just supposed to be a really stupid movie. Like it's too well made in the specific ways that it's bad, that it can't be like, he can't not know. Like that was like the takeaway, and I think I've seen a few other takes like that, so I don't know. I think the people that take it seriously are like on the wrong channel.
I'm looking at the critical response bit on Wikipedia. It's got 75 on Rotten Tomatoes %. But apparently the critics are saying that it is supposed, like it's bonkers and it works, stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
it's really hokey. Like it's really hokey. I'm not going to spoil like the whole thing, but the twist is so hilarious, and I knew it was going to affect people in that way, because the next day, like a couple days later on Instagram, I saw like a bunch of like some artists that I like making like mock-up like movie posters for it and stuff.
Yeah.
Like Trevor Henderson, like I did Siren Head, like I follow him. He does a lot of scary, like he does some fun scary pictures, and he made like a mock-up for it because he liked it so much. He's like, I love Malignant. And I'm like, okay, this hit some people the same way it hit me. I'm glad I'm not like the only person, but like everyone in the room that night that we were watching it was like, they were trying to take it super seriously, and you could tell like it hurt them that I didn't think it was scary, and I laughed. And like I felt really bad, but I couldn't help it. Like I was having such a good time.
Yeah, I understand that.
Watch it still.
That position, I've been there as well. That's why I don't watch movies with people anymore.
But there's some very high score horror movies that are really bad. Like I guess like apparently the fucking What Keeps You Alive, which is just an awful movie. But like The Quiet Place Part 2 was just kind of pointless and stupid.
I wasn't super into the first one, to be honest.
Yeah, but like it was a really pointless sequel to the first one that just retreads the same stuff but worse and less scary. Although there's a few scenes that are hilarious with how violently those things just slap people around. but and then was it Hush? I think is the one with the deaf protagonist.
Yeah,
that's like,
that was another one that I watched with friends that also took it more seriously than me, because my whole time was
bad.
I was like, why doesn't she do this? Why doesn't she do that?
She wants to die the whole movie.
Well, I understand that,
and it's the same actress from like all these good things I see. Like she's in Gerald's Game, and she's in all of the like Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor, and that new one that Midnight Mass that I like. So like she's in a lot of stuff I like, but that movie was miserable because she just wants to die. She makes the worst choice every second, or just stands still while things happen and just lets the movie keep happening, and it's so infuriating.
Yeah, no, there's like a lot of choices she could have made that would have been a lot more like like that movie in her best interests. But
that movie literally has one scene that makes good use of the premise, which is that somebody is being murdered right outside her glass window, and she doesn't hear any of it because she's deaf, and like that juxtaposition. And then you can just turn the movie off 5 minutes in, because the rest of the movie is just like her making just the most infuriating choices, or literally just watching. So at one point somebody comes in to save her and is very slowly murdered outside of her house while she just does nothing the whole time, knowing it's happening and just watching. And I'm like, get something heavy, bitch, what are you doing? Like, just help. That's not like the guy has a gun. Like, what the fuck? Just help, do something. Do you want to die? This is your only chance. I was losing my fucking mind, and then I look it up on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like, oh, it's like 85 or something. I'm like, wrong.
It's 93.
I hate it. What the fuck?
Horror movies have such a good spread. Like, it's weird. Horror movies are like, I think horror movies have the most capacity to make a bad version of it. It's just something so special about horror movie culture, where it's like you can make a fantastic one, Hereditary,
yeah,
or you can make
all the best horror movies turn people
4.
off because they're actually effective at being their genre, and then people don't like it.
No, that's a divisive one. Yeah, because I went to the theaters with people who didn't like that one.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, damn, this is
Midsommar.
So good. People walked out of that theater, and that made me. I thought that was funny.
There's a lot of people that did not like Hereditary and Midsommar, and even what's it called? It Follows. People have like really annoying, dumb takes at it.
I thought it was creative.
But I also couldn't get over the fact that the villain was just like behaving like a supernatural villain that just like fucks with you for no reason, as opposed to like accomplishing anything. So I think there were several moments where he could have just ended it or made any more progress, and he's just like, for some reason, like slowly. I don't remember if he had motivation or not, but I don't think he did. I think he just was that genuinely trying to like accomplish his goal of killing her or breaking in or whatever, and he just was like, I'm gonna act like a movie villain and draw this out pointlessly because
wait, you're talking about Hush again?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say you didn't
enough.
like announce that you're going back, so I was like, are you talking about It Follows? Because that's
I thought you were talking about
no, sorry.
Both the Hereditary and the other one that you mentioned,
Midsummer,
came out of the Sundance Film Festival. That thing is prolific, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think those are both like high level. Like I think that they're good highbrow horror movies, and I got my little brother to watch both of them. I remember we watched Midsummer in theaters together, and he's like I think he was like 16 at the time, and the movie ended, and I was like, I just kind of looked over at him, and he was like, I loved it. And I'm like, oh, so I was like, good, okay, because I could see this going very differently depending on who you go see that movie with, because it would hit people really not the right way. And I was like, cool, we have like the same taste. And he told me, I made him watch Hereditary recently. He said that was the scariest movie he's ever seen.
I still haven't gotten around to it. I have it on my shelf.
It's got a really creepy cover, or it's a poster. I'm looking at a poster.
Hereditary or Midsummer?
Yeah, Hereditary. Midsummer, I haven't seen, but I know the premise. And
Midsummer is like the best horror movie I've ever seen that takes place during like broad daylight. That's like the best part about it. Is it's just totally super daytime.
I don't know. It's gonna be hard to beat The Village.
When I was a kid, that kind of hit me right. Like I kind of liked. I was like, that's a cool twist. I like the little monster outfits. Like I thought The Village had a cool twist. So I was into it.
I don't think I've seen any of these movies. I don't think I've even heard half of these movies.
Yeah. Well, I guess then I'm recommending them to you because I watch a lot of. Didn't. Yeah.
No, don't watch Spy Kids 3D. Don't do that.
Sorry, I've seen that one.
Okay, good. No. You're at the top tier then.
No.
You're watching
first
some Oscar bait right there.
Yeah, I've seen Spy Kids. I've seen Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I've seen the classics, but like I've never seen these.
I was trained by the classics.
I also wrote down Osmosis Jones because I thought that would be funny to mention.
Osmosis Jones is also a classic.
Z and Drix.
I got to watch it in science class as a kid. I'm like, I don't think there's a lot you can really learn from this movie, but it's fun. Like the Bill Murray scenes gross me out though because he just does a lot of gross stuff.
You don't like the fucking like
the zit and the vomit
the
and
attack zit that like
eating
launches
that
at
hard-boiled
somebody
egg.
else.
He's like a hard-boiled egg that was in a chimp's mouth, and I was so not down for that.
He's like trying to die.
His daughter's like, take care of yourself, Dad. What are you doing?
He's just tempting fate every moment he can. Take me out, world.
I think he hated being in that, if I remember right. That and Garfield was like.
It was worth it for the joke in Zombieland.
That was in Zombieland 2. That was like the only that movie was like pretty but like the after the credit scene of him like at the Garfield press conference for the movie for the movie Garfield, and then that's like basically where ground zero was for the zombie outbreak, and him fighting zombies like at the Garfield press release was very funny to me.
There's a second Zombieland?
Yeah.
Why?
Don't worry about it. Yeah, I was gonna say, honestly, don't even stress. Like
it
you're
wasn't
not missing
great.
anything.
It was fine.
10 years after the events. Why?
Yeah, it's a long apocalypse apparently.
The only thing I thought was
same actors,
funny was the girl. The only thing I thought was kind of funny was they had a girl who basically was locked in a freezer this whole time, which is obviously never how this actually works. And no, she wasn't frozen. I think she just was living in a mall or something all by herself. So when she comes out, she's like totally like nothing's changed for her, and she talks like a valley girl. And she's like, oh my god, like nah 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 nah. She doesn't like realize zombies exist, so like she's just out there being like.
Yeah, she was like the most fun part of the movie, wasn't she?
Like totally.
There's something good about that. I don't remember how it went. Like it was fine. It was okay to watch, but not like worth seeking out.
Yeah, no, it was really
the
dumb.
first Zombieland's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, no, it's a fun one.
It's pretty tight.
A long time ago, somewhere on the internet, there was a photograph of me holding up a Zombieland t-shirt because I was at the horror movie convention where they were first like advertising it. It hadn't even had commercials yet, but they were like talking about how this movie was going to come out. And I was at that horror movie convention trying to meet the guys from, I was there to meet the guys from House of a Thousand Corpses, except for Rob Zombie, he's not there. But like the Devil's Rejects without Rob Zombie, they were all there. And they're creepy in real life too. It was fun, but so like they're like, oh yeah, you want to like hold up a shirt, so and it's like a 4XL, so like it covers like this is all I had left, and so I'm just holding up this gigantic shirt that I wore as a pajama shirt like for 2 years until the movie actually came out, because I had it for so long ahead of time, and they took a picture of me. So somewhere on the internet there's a photograph of me holding up a Zombieland shirt to promote the movie.
You were part of the you were a Zombieland groupie.
Huh? The first one, yeah.
For the first movie.
Yeah, and like honestly, they were promoting it. Like, in fact, I forgot about it until like a couple years later. I saw like a commercial for it, and I was like, "Oh shit, I have this shirt!" And I pulled it out of the closet. I'm like, "Yeah, this one." I had it. I threw it away because it was just taking up so much space in my drawer.
Now we just need a
4X.
shirt of you excitedly holding up the shirt and just on a loop.
Oh man, I would do that.
As your memento. All right, we have an ancient email for you. I don't even remember what it says anymore. Ryan Norris in November 4th, 2020.
Hi, Ryan.
Asks,
I'm sorry.
I am curious to know more about Stephanie's love of Jim Henson. How did it start? Has she seen the Muppets in costumes in person at exhibits or museums? And has she watched Farscape, produced by the Henson Company?
Okay. Jim Henson, the reason I love him is because I was watching like old school Sesame Street when I was a little kid. And that's where that started. That was like definitely my favorite kids show. I didn't do Barney. I didn't do any of the other ones. I did Teletubbies. But I was just super into old school Sesame Street. I love the format and the mixed media, which is also why I think I like claymation so much. Is like I like how they had the little bits made by different, basically different like artists to represent. Like, oh, we're talking about the number 3 today. Like, here's a cartoon about the number 3. Here's a song about the number 3. Here's a claymated short about the number 3. And you have all these characters, and there's such like a nice sense of community. And I thought it was just one of the most wholesome things I've ever experienced. And then I got older and I saw what the world was like, and I'm like, I want to go back to Sesame Street. So it's just like, I'm gonna just keep that in my heart forever. So I can visit it anytime I want. And then from there, I watch all the Muppet movies, obviously. But yeah, Dark Crystal, that was a big early one. And I watched Labyrinth when I was really little, and I had the biggest, fattest crush on Jareth, because boy, like, who the fuck doesn't? He's beautiful, beautiful man.
Oh my god, I lost his name.
And even as a kid, I was like, I feel strange about this, but it was like my first crush.
I can't remember the musician's name. What the fuck?
David Bowie. Yeah.
There we go. I got
and
it.
actually, right now, in this point in time,
you didn't get me.
I have David Bowie as my background right now because I have a beautiful picture of him. He's such an androgynous, beautiful person.
Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah. I'm showing Keith the picture of David Bowie on my screensaver. But and then I think like Jim Henson is just one of those people that just always created. And if you ever listen to him talk, he always just comes off as such a genuine and nice person. I find it heartbreaking that like most of his projects were not received well. Like he had a vision of something, and he was really passionate about everything he did. Fraggle Rock saved the world. Did you ever watch the Defunct Land episode about Fraggle Rock?
Every Defunct Land video about Jim Henson. Well, I cared more about that than any of the actual premise of the channel, which is Disney. There's
just like a joke about how like Fraggle Rock caused the Berlin Wall to be knocked down because it like came out. It was like the first English, or it was like the first like American show to be shown. I want to say in like I think it's like communist Russia or something. And it had such a sense of community to it, to such an extent that they allowed the live action parts to be redone with like different people from different countries to make it seem more authentic to their culture.
We've got more Jim Henson to watch that neither of us have seen yet, because I have those DVDs of the Storyteller show that we still need to watch. I totally forgot about that, because I wanted to track that. It's because of. It might have been a Quentin Reviews video, or it might have been the Defunct Land videos about Jim Henson, but I found out about like there's like this whole like mythology series that they did, like around the time of Fraggle Rock and everything like that, whereas these legends and so on, and it was all mixed in with puppets and stuff, and it's all produced by Jim Henson, and like I literally never heard of it before, so I just tracked that all down.
I think like puppetry is such an outlier in performative arts. Like for a while it was really irrelevant. So like for somebody to be like, I'm really passionate about this enough to devote a lot of time and effort into perfecting it, and I just hope somebody out there likes it. I mean, granted, it was like a really slow start for Jim Henson, but like he he took something that basically was super relevant to everybody and made it like a staple of American culture. And I respect him a lot for that.
Now it's really hard. Like, he's just the guy that you think of if you mention puppets.
He tried really hard to not compromise his own ideals. And that's why it's heartbreaking now when I think... So I haven't seen Farscape. If it's newer, I'm kind of avoidant of anything that comes out after he's died.
Farscape's not...
Is that older?
When did Jim Henson die?
Like early 90s.
90?
Yeah. I don't know how that lines up. It's definitely from the 90s, though.
It's a
90s sci-fi show that I actually grew up watching a bit, but I don't remember it that well. But it was just like, what if Star Trek had really weird costumes and was really colorful and odd? Like, that was the sort of aesthetic. There was a lot of long-running sci-fi shows back then, along with like... There's multiple Star Trek shows and so on, and then there was Farscape, which had like all these like, it had a lot of prosthetics and some really strange looking people, and this woman that has like full body makeup, and it was just aesthetically really different from like what else was airing around the time, like Sliders, Star Trek, Stargate, and so on. Like, it was always like, here's a bunch of normal white people, humans, one black guy, and then one alien, and like Farscape is like 50% or more. It's almost entirely non-human characters, it looks like. And there's like one little puppet dude and a lot of weird costumes. And I don't remember what any of it was about, but I definitely liked it at some point.
It actually looks really fun. I'd be willing to give it a shot. I don't like veer towards sci-fi super often. And also, like I said, I'm like more hesitant with anything that came out after Jim Henson died. Because boy, Disney put their little clammy little evil hands all over that. And I don't trust them at all. Like,
mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I remember this person. Yeah. I recognize this person I found that has like a horseshoe crab shaped head. I don't have anything to go on. That's... I can't say what the show's about though. I don't remember any. Yeah, there's a. I think they're a puppet.
Well, it's a.
They're a large.
It might be a puppet. It's really cool how much. Okay, so they have like the Muppets, and then they have ones that are like the costumes. So you have like characters that are in the Muppet costumes. And then you have like things that are like, or like when you look at like the Dark Crystal, you have those like weird little roly poly soldier dudes. I don't know what they're called. But there's so much.
Yeah, you always have to wonder how they're being puppeted.
The mechanics of this stuff is so awesome.
Or is like 50 sticks.
You ever like looked up how Big Bird works? Where it's like he's like sticking his hand up for the mouth Big Bird, and then he has like there's an amazing art to all of this.
It's like a whole thing that's like they're like holding. They have like straps on their shoulders that's holding the whole thing up, and like one arm's controlling stuff inside the bird while the other hand is all the way up inside the face. But like
yeah.
It's really weird. What's really weird about watching Dark Crystal is all those scenes with all the Skeksis that are in the like the main room. Your entire sense of where the floor is just wrong. Like, you think the floor is where the floor should be.
Oh no,
like,
it just
makes sense.
Higher,
but
right?
there's the Skeksis are all really high in the air because like 4 people are piloting each one. Like, there's so many people in that room so that like 8 Skeksis can all be worked. Like, there's just so many people crawling around on the floor under those things, and they're all like at least 4 feet in the air, and they're just hovering around like ghosts doing that like fucking Disney like the Disney ghost dancing room place.
From the Labyrinth. That one
is it from Labyrinth?
That one that scares everyone. Like,
I think there's like a
where
I think there's like an attraction that recreates it, like some sort of haunted mansion ghost dancing thing.
Oh, that might
like all of those Jim Henson all those Jim Henson like setups look like that basically in person, because the whole scene's happening in the air above the actors, and then the camera just frames it like that's normal height, and you just believe it.
It is funny to think about how like when like Jack Black is like on the set of the Sesame Street talking about how great octagons are, because that's what he was there for. Yeah. And he's talking to like Elmo or somebody, and it's Elmo's like sitting on like a wall, like Charlie Brown style, where he's like just having a conversation sitting on like a tall wall. But behind there's just this big black guy that's just voicing, because that's who puppets Elmo. And so like, Jack Black just has to ignore it. There's just a giant man crouching like behind this wall and have like a genuine conversation with like a Muppet. But they're really good at like convincing you, because when they bring the kids on the show, the kids like don't ever even glance at the person. They're so enraptured by Elmo. Like, they're just having like a whole fucking conversation. They're like, Kermit like what's your favorite color, Kermit? Like they treat them like real people because they have like such a sense of identity that when they go on talk shows and things, they don't have a script. They just talk to like Jay Leno or whatever, but they know their characters so well they can just have a back and forth as their character, and it takes no effort whatsoever.
It's the magic of powerful fake eye contact.
And they're really just into
terrifying.
Those dead eyes just staring deep into your soul.
But just like to be that character, to have the weight of like whatever you say is like canonical of its opinion. I guess like no one's asking like Kermit hard-hitting questions like hey Kermit, what's your geopolitical stance on this? And he's not like well, sorry, I just don't think that these people deserve rights. Like he's not, he's not making any kind of like grandiose, like terrifying implicating statements. It's just, but it's like weird to think about when you say something. It's like, Kermit, what's your favorite color? He's like, purple. And he's like, what the fuck? What did you just say?
It's obviously green, motherfucker. Like, you got it wrong.
Yeah, like is he like when he's rude? Is that canonical that he's rude to Jay Leno? Like he doesn't like Jay Leno?
Dude, I hope he's rude to Jay Leno. Like I think that would be really funny.
It's just, Kermit's about to spill some tea.
Kermit's always kind of sassy.
Like some Lipton tea.
I don't know. Kermit's the most with it.
I'm just like imagining like how could you take this character off the rails? Like what is the
pull a Kramer? That would probably be like that might do it.
I'm just like, how do you hijack Kermit and turn him into a repulsed icon and not a beloved one? Is like such a lot of power to give somebody.
You better trust that person a lot on live TV to not ruin your character forever.
I think Jordan Peterson has got some good ideas.
Oh no,
that's what I mean though. Is like it's scary to me to think that like there's a person behind that puppet and that person could technically say something awful, even if it's not on purpose. But it's just like they could say something. It's like that's it. You like solidified.
Maybe women in the workplace is subverting the natural order.
I don't believe in COVID.
Oh no.
I mean, it's fine.
I don't need to wear a mask.
Fine, though. He's a frog.
I think I have natural immunity
as a frog. Yeah, that's what I always think about when there's all these voice actors that go on YouTube or on Twitch, specifically like, wow, like it's like the guy from Detroit Become Human reacts to this, or like Lego She reacts to this, and it's the actor that plays him on YouTube stuff. And he's leveraging their audience. They're leveraging that role they played elsewhere as a handle to like get famous and grow an audience on YouTube, but they're doing it as the character, and their whole gimmick is to like do it's like, oh, this character says this on YouTube, isn't that funny? And it's like, it's cute if it's like doesn't go anywhere, but it can go bad so fast if they actually start making some major mistakes. Like,
it's interesting too, because like I know this is the same thing that happens like with anime. You'll see there'll be like these dumb talk shows in Japan, and you'll have the voice actors on, and they'll ask like really stupid questions to the actors and ask them to answer it as the character. So, you know, the stuff like, if you were stuck on a ship, what would you do? And they're like, I'd kill that person. You're like, what? I can't believe he said that in that voice. And it's like, there's this level of, you know, like, I don't know, fans want to
just bring in the Winnie the Pooh voice actor and start hitting with trolley problem questions.
Oh gosh.
No, you gotta bring in Eeyore with that shit. Eeyore would be such a great.
Him over for sure.
No.
I'd probably just let him die.
Eeyore, you can't do that. Don't die.
It's fine, Piglet. You can pull the lever.
Like, I don't want to Eeyore.
Well, Gouache, I sure hate what they're saying, but they have the right to say it.
Wake me up.
It's just the fucking like 4 p.m. news circuit, but it's entirely our children's voice actors.
There's this weird, so there's like this there's the valley where you have this like beautiful animation valley. I like to think of it like Toon World from Roger, like, you know, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where you have this you have this like scale or spectrum where things are like clearly cartoonish and then it slowly gets into like too real. And
the horror of corrupting these cartoon characters by putting them in the real world.
Yeah, there's this like
melting them
enjoyable
with paint thinner.
Yeah, there's this enjoyable aspect of taking someone, taking like an icon that's so beloved or so well known, and it has like such a solidified personality that you can't mess up Goofy. Goofy is very solid as a character. You know,
I don't know.
Like
There's that fucking child abuse meme. That's Goofy. That's not doing great things for him.
But that's what I'm saying is like there are these moments where you could like take this character who's so solid in its personality, its execution, everything, and like just do one thing that is so just so far left field, and people are just taken aback, and they have to try to like wrap their heads around like what is this, funny or is this concerning? What's happening here? And it's like, but you have like, you know, real cartoon, like, so in real world you have cartoons and like Family Guy or whatever Netflix thinks are adult cartoons. I don't even know what they think are adult cartoons. Whatever the like, I'm gonna copy Family Guy's art style, but
Big
not
Mouth.
any.
Big
but
Mouth's
yeah,
their
but like,
thing like that.
I can't even look at the
I'm not gonna
previews of that
hire
movie.
any writers
It's
for
a
it.
show.
We're just gonna but those kind of shows, like, it's not as interesting to see cartoon characters saying fuck in that aspect, because it's not, these are characters that aren't, they're not built, you know, they're just like, they exist to be,
they're supposed to be people, I guess, more so like they're them having faults and things is like, it's all right because it's there for the purpose of comedy. Like it's like South Park really broke us. Well, I mean, first Simpsons, I think Simpsons is more I don't know, I don't want to say wholesome, but like
South Park leaned heavy on that.
South Park was really the one that like we're gonna just push like our cute little cartoon characters and have them say awful things.
So they also just have a lot of episodes where they just take somebody else's cartoon character and make them do something horrible.
Oh, they had a whole episode with like the million
Mickey.
crossovers. Remember, like they had a whole like Fantasyland where like every made up character lived, and so they were all in there. But yeah, they really broke us into that, I guess.
Yeah, and so I'm just thinking like there is something fun about thinking of these wholesome, like, solidified characters in those kind of like shows, but not in the way that those shows present them. Like, so, you know, like Family Guy or South Park have done that, where they take like Mickey or Kermit or something and give them like adult jokes to say. But there's like, it's still too much on the cartoonish side. Like I want it to like breach over. Like
you want it to come off as more like genuine and candid. Like if Mickey Mouse one day just had like he gave a deep sigh and had pulled up a chair on his webcam and just laid into Disney really hard and talked about all the atrocities. He's like, you know what,
like
guys?
that
And
kind of
he
thing.
shoots himself in the head. Like
this is getting dangerously close to like brand Twitter for cartoons.
I'm just thinking of like the idea, you know, like you have the voice actor for
having
Mickey
a
or
hard
something.
day, you guys.
I do like Meat Canyon. I think Meat Canyon kind of is trying to do that. It's hit or miss, but some of theirs I really like.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just again, it goes back to like something's really enjoyable about watching a character that's so solid be so outrageous to the audience that has this like firm belief in that character. Like they know who it is and what it does, and seeing it just like when, completely tarnish it is like, oh my god, what's going on? Like Kermit off the rails is like a terrifying thought, because it's just such a how do you recover Kermit, you know, like how do you uncancel Kermit? Like it's a like
there was a lawsuit a long time ago. It ended up not being true. And actually, it's funny. Okay, so there was like a lawsuit a long time ago about a person in a costume at Disneyland molesting someone, right? But they proved that it wasn't true because it was the opposite of like the O.J. Simpson case, where it's like it was with the gloves, because the gloves wouldn't have allowed them to molest somebody because they couldn't take the gloves off, and the gloves are big padded things, and all the things that the person said had happened couldn't have possibly happened because there's no flexibility allowed in the gloves to have done the things that were said to have been done. Yeah, no, it's
real granular.
Like, wait a second. The characters are one at Disney. I'm assuming this is Disneyland.
Yeah, it's Disneyland. It was an adult. It wasn't a child molestation case. It was like an adult who's like, oh, this character like grabbed my ass or something, and it was like a big deal.
Still, this is like, it is, unless this happened in like the 1970s, it is absolutely impossible that this character wasn't in like a sight line for 360 degree from like hundreds of people.
Well, that
there's no way,
and they can't fucking see out of their mask. That's the other thing, is like they brought the costume in to show like, hey dude, like I can't see shit. Like
they couldn't even see your ass. They wouldn't even know if you had one. They're like, all they could literally see is their handler, maybe if they're lucky, and they pray that they can see their handler because that's like the only line of defense they have.
And they have
against like a
one.
C.
I don't think your handler would let you like molest a woman
that's
in
what I'm
broad
saying. It's like
daylight.
there's like so many people there, and it's like, it's terrifying trying to, I couldn't imagine being one of those poor costume people. You're just like mugged the moment you walk out of anything. You're like, hey, look, it's Donald. Fuck, God, just get back. It's Don. Just get back.
You can tell they're
you're
trying to go on their break, like they're trying to leave for like the secret door,
yeah.
and like, people are like trying to flag them down, like, oh, like I came all this way just to see you, Donald Duck. And there's this immense sense of guilt as this person like has to kind of turn around and like cut into their 15-minute break to like sign a stupid autograph book. Like,
I love the handlers because they always feel as if they're like one step away from like wishing they had cattle prods. It's, you can tell they're like, as they're trying to get like, okay, it's time for your 15-minute break. Like, we have to follow this really specifically because this fucking suit is just built to murder people. So
Yes.
like, you need to leave. And like, someone's like, oh, but it's Goofy. I want to shake his hand. It's like, sorry, Goofy really has to go. You're like,
Goofy's gonna pass out. Like,
yeah, it's like, you can see the handlers are like panicking sometimes. They're like, just fucking run, Goofy. I'll back you up. Like,
I'll hold him back.
you know, like it's so weird to see. Like, and it's funny too because these people just like go in the back and like take the costume off, and some, you know, like some new person comes out the same door, and the person that was there like, I wanted to see Goofy. He's like, there's a new character. That's all that matters now. Like everything, everyone
here
in,
now.
yeah, like every child at Disneyland has like hyper ADD. It's like the top tier ADD. You could like throw 16 people out of a room and they'll be excited to see all of them individually. Like every single one will be excited.
There's just too much to look at. Like, it's like overwhelming.
Yeah.
Even as an adult.
Oh, yeah.
If I go there, I mean, Grant, I'm actually going there next month. I don't know if I'm looking forward to it.
So sorry for your
Yeah.
loss.
I'm being roped into like a family vacation, and
I hope you guys booked the rides you want.
You know, dude, I just watched that Defunct Land episode on Fast Pass, and they showed clips
Isn't
of
it like 2 hours long?
yeah,
I
no,
wasn't
it's
ready for
2
that.
hours long.
fascinating.
It's good.
But because I've been here for all those iterations, like my family used to take me 3 times a year from the time I was like 3 or 4 up until I was like old enough to say I didn't want to go. So it was,
same here. Yeah.
I was like 15 or something. So I've honestly gone to like the Disneyland in LA like straight up at least 40 times, and that's an underguess.
Jesus.
And
Yeah.
I could tell you, well, I mean, I don't know if it's the same, but I can tell you like where every bathroom is. If you want a type of
it
food,
is.
I can tell you exactly where to get it. I know all the shit, right?
Apparently, when we did that level drawing game, like when I did Dark Souls,
I could have done
Mario,
that.
apparently
I
you
can tell you
should have
where
drawn
every ride is.
Disneyland.
I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
it's different now. I
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
seen all the new like Star Wars dumb stuff. That I
Yeah,
don't
the
care
only
about.
thing that's changed is Star Wars. So, like, nothing else has changed about Disneyland. You can still draw that map, and it's still the same map. All they did was just like took a empty space in the back of the park and added a fucking
They got rid of that
Millennium
one
Falcon.
attraction with, what is it? The one that Jenny Nicholson was obsessing over, because like there's just like this like abandoned animatronics in this one building,
that
and then one of them
minecart?
disappeared one day.
The mind.
You're
That
talking
attraction's
about
gone.
The World of Tomorrow, the rotating building.
No, it's just like a dude, like Buzzy or some shit.
That's a different
Oh.
place.
Is that
That's
not,
Disney
is that
World. You're talking about Disney World. Disney World in Florida is like the big giant park with Epcot Center and like Animal Planet or Animal Kingdom
Yeah,
and whatever,
Animal
like all
Kingdom,
that.
which-
Yeah,
I debate
I've never
the
been east of
ethics on
Texas.
that. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about Animal Kingdom, you know?
It's Disney. It's not good. It's just, or it's not ethical. It's just, you know, magical.
I think about
Yeah,
going to
ethical and
Disneyland
magical aren't the
once.
same thing. They can be very far apart. No,
There's
dude,
no
but
ethical magic in Disneyland.
when I was watching that Defunct episode, like they were showing clips of like those Disney moms, and they're just YouTubers who have like the Disney ears on, and they're like, So we're going to go in 60 days. So I'm going to show you how to book your fast passes 60 days in advance. Make sure you book your last day first. And they pull out Excel sheets and fucking flow charts and shit.
Yep.
And they're like, if you refresh every few seconds, you might be able to pick up a fast pass on the app that somebody like dropped out of. And I'm like, dude.
This is how you end up as a National Lampoon Vacation where you're just not having any fun.
My only options, like the only options to enjoy this, right, is either to be one of these awful people, which in itself I would hate to spend time doing this and making an Excel chart about the rides I want to go on.
Do you think people hire people to manage their Disney vacation the same way people do taxes for people?
You could, honestly,
it's called a travel agent.
Dude, oh man, there is such a market for that, and that's what makes me sad. But
yeah.
I get stressed out if I have a vague blueprint for my week on when I think I'm going to work versus do other things, and then somebody introduces a new thing, and I have to like sit there and think about how it's going to change things. Like that bothers me.
God.
Like,
you would fucking hate Disneyland.
The idea of fucking micro planning every day of a multi-day trip to the minute to do all these stupid attractions I would hate the idea so much.
The long-term like
miserable.
conclusion of that episode of Defunctland basically is you can either be the person that does all this planning and enjoy your time, or you could be the sucker who waits in line for hours and hours because they know you already paid for this and you're not going to leave. And that's basically what it comes down to. You're either one of those two people. I just
go to Six Flags.
And I know I'm going to be the second person because I'm not going to do all this Excel sheet planning BS.
It's just a special theme park.
I'm going to have to wait in line
longer.
Go
to another one.
Wait in line longer because people like those Disney moms exist and they created a system that only benefits people that are going to be obsessive.
Do they even have a shark tunnel? I bet they don't have a shark tunnel. Just go to Six Flags.
Maybe at Animal Kingdom. I don't know.
Just go to fucking Vallejo and
no, they
the
don't
shark
have
tunnel. Fuck you, Disneyland. You're far away.
You don't want to go to stupid Six Flags. Six Flags sucks. So
they have
boring.
a shark tunnel. I could just go through it like 6 more times.
You could go to an aquarium that has like a whole bunch of shark tunnels. It has sharks, like actual sharks in it.
It was nice being there though. That place is nice.
I was
it takes me back to being like 4.
Keith didn't like any of the rides. He just liked the shark tunnel.
No, I like the raft a lot.
He liked the raft and the shark tunnel. And he didn't like the scrambled eggs or any other rides at all.
Dude, like I used to think I just had troubles with heights and stuff like that, and like the speed and just the general like threat that is posed to you by roller coasters because they just seem scary. Oh god, she's bringing up spreadsheets.
Yeah, I just started looking them up, and they're they're fun.
Like I don't like heights, and roller coasters seem like dangerous in a way that's not fun. Like I don't like thinking about it. But I thought, low to the ground, like this thing goes in circles really fast and up and down little hills or whatever would be fun. And I thought scrambled eggs would be fine. But that thing fucking like launches you, it's like because they're spinning in a little circle.
I love that feeling because I laughed the whole time.
Yeah, it's like 3. It's
Keith had to listen.
3 things covered in seats that are spinning while the whole thing that they're attached to is spinning. And so the reality of being on the seat itself is that you like rocket from one wall to the other in like half a second over and over again, and that's like the experience. Like it's like those fucking stencils you would get to make you draw intricate patterns by just dragging your pencil around the circle or whatever. Like you get so much speed that like I just had this horrible feeling in my gut the whole time that just felt awful, and I'm like, this isn't good. I don't know if this was a thing I don't remember it being a thing when I was a kid. I don't know if it's just getting older or what, but like I just felt so physically uncomfortable on all the rides that I'm like, this isn't worth it.
There's not
but
a ride that I won't go on.
Though.
Like I'm super down. I even did the bungee jumping thing.
Fuck that. That's all of the things at once.
I love that one.
That's the height and the danger and the feeling.
And then I was really happy because one time we went to Disneyland. My aunt was nice enough to actually like take one of those days to take me to Magic Mountain instead. And that one has some some of the like award-winning coasters, like some of the fastest ones in the world. And I was so, oh yeah, I got to go on that Superman one that killed people. Like,
why?
It's just like that. It's so fun. Like I'm just
amped
thinking about it.
I think you mentioned that one in particular in one of the Luigi's Mansion episodes, and he sent me down into a Wikipedia rabbit hole page thing for hours and hours when that episode came out.
Investigating
Superman
roller coaster deaths.
I think that's the drop one. I unless I get any of the names mixed up. I think that's like the drop zone kind of, but maybe it's a coaster. I forgot, but I know it's like it's a tall drop. I'm pretty sure. But they have like a Superman the ride, and they have like the Joker the ride, which is like they're honestly pretty cool.
That ride's called Society.
Yeah, I want that one, and then next to it, I want one that represents the new Joker movie, and I want that ride's just like I don't even know.
Jared Leto.
No, not that one.
The
I was thinking,
Suicide Squad.
no, I meant the other one. The
Dark Knight.
No. The one with Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh right.
I just want
Jesus,
a really bleak ride that doesn't like do anything. That just goes in a circle. Like
I can't believe how many Jokers there are that are all recent. What the fuck?
And they're all in the same universe. Definitely.
Joker has been rebooted more rapidly than Spider-Man.
I miss Nicolas Cage's Joker. I actually really liked that one.
What?
Nicolas
Cage's Joker?
No, sorry, not Nicolas Cage. I meant to say.
Excuse me?
I meant to say Jack Nicholson.
Okay.
Oops.
I'm like
Not Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage is a weird way to pronounce Mark Hamill, but okay.
The Jack. The Jack Nicholson one from the ones directed by Tim Burton.
Yeah. No.
No. He directed one.
Did he direct two of them? He directed the Penguin.
No, I think he directed
one.
both of those.
He might have directed both of them.
Yeah, the Penguin. I love the Penguin one. I won a quiz show once, or at my school. I won like a quiz event because I remembered that Oswald Cobblepot was the name of the Penguin.
Yeah,
it's like oh, what movie has Danny DeVito? Like what character does Danny DeVito play? Yada yada. And the answer was Oswald Cobblepot. I actually remembered it because of that movie.
Now it's like burned into my brain because you hear that name every episode of Gotham for like 6 seasons.
That makes me feel less impressive for remembering.
Because he's like the second main character of. He's the deuteragonist of Gotham.
Deuteragonist?
Yeah.
What?
Like the character that's opposite the protagonist.
There's a word for that?
Oh
yeah. I think that's what it means.
Deuteragonist.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what a word.
I watch a lot of overly sarcastic productions. The person second in importance to the protagonist in a drama. Yeah. He's like the deuteragonist is Oswald Cobblepot.
Deuteragonist.
Because the main character is Gordon. So you get it. There's words I've learned, and I have to refresh them sometimes. But like from overly sarcastic productions, goes into tropes constantly and discusses all these concepts. Like there's a breakdown of like the list of the party members you have. Whenever you have a roster of like five people that make up the main cast or whatever, and go on adventures together or whatever. There's almost always a specific dynamic because they have to be different personalities. So you have like the protagonist, then you have the lancer, and so on. And there's like all these specific words for them.
Apparently there's a protagonist, a deuteragonist, a tritagonist, a tetratagonist, and a pentagonist. So a number of 1 to 5.
I guess pro might mean first, and so do would be
I know
2,
like Deuteronomy.
and tetra is 4, and so on.
Yeah, that's Deuteronomy is where my mind goes every time.
Yeah.
Is that a cat?
I think it's a book in the Bible.
Deuteronomy is a religious
or
book.
a group.
Oh,
or a group
or
of
something.
Books.
I was like, it's one of the
you know
cats.
what? No, it's like
they all have weird names.
I think it's a part of a church service or something. Shows how much I know.
It's not like an old Deuteronomy.
Shows how often I've gone to church.
And I say Bible
and
because I was. Yeah, but I think it's also in the Quran. No, wait. What's the Jewish book? What's the name of the Jewish book?
The Torah?
Yeah, there you go.
Torah. Yeah, I think it's also in the Torah. I think it's like 5 books, but they call it the Deuteronomy. That because it's difficult.
We got it. Nailed it. Stuck the landing.
Not any easier in Portuguese.
No. So I just played Twilight Imperium again for the first time in I guess only a few months, but before that time was years because of COVID.
Like I said, again for the first time. Like, it makes sense, but I played it again for the first time.
I was trying to say for the first time in years, then I realized that it was only the first time in a couple months because we played a few months ago. But before that, it was the first time in years. But that is a 6 to now 8 players because it has the expansion for Twilight Imperium 4 is out, which gives you more races and more pieces, but also gets you all the way up to 8 players. there's a whole thing there where it's like you would think like it would be a thing like it's gross how The Sims comes out and they make sequels and they take all the features out and you got to buy them again for the new game and so on. But
I want a dog in this one, so I have to buy the pet expansion.
Yeah, it's like, and then you got to buy Sims 4 and then buy the pet expansion again and stuff. But like, there's a whole documentary about Twilight Imperium 4's creation where you find out like, it's like no, like this game has so many fucking pieces and so many cards and so many tiles and plastic troops that make up all your dudes. They can't give you more. Like there's they literally say like Twilight Imperium 3 was like a once in a lifetime thing that they'll never get away with again because the box was so fucking big it would take up your entire shelf basically. And so like Twilight Imperium 4, they literally couldn't make the box as big as they made the last game. Like there's a whole documentary about the creation of Twilight Imperium 4 that's on YouTube somewhere. And it's just like, so it's like you can't even like be mad at them for having to being able to play 8 players later by having more like plastic pieces and more rules and all that, because like they have to sell you a new box later. That's the only way to finish selling you more of the game. So it's like the most justified pre-planned expansion type thing I've seen before. But like this game is like the equivalent of like games like Civilization, I guess, where you can play like 2 to 8 or whatever players, and there's like a series of different victory conditions to be competing for that are more complex than just kill everybody that isn't you. Although I think in Civilization you can technically do that. I think it's basically impossible in Twilight Imperium to logistically accomplish that. But it's an old day thing, and every time we meet up to play it, we always are like full of excitement because it's our first time playing it in a while and it's early in the morning. We feel energetic, so we're like, should we play a 10-point game or a 14-point game? And we keep saying 14 and we regret it so hard in the 12th hour of playing a 14-point game. So we didn't record a podcast last week because I was at Marty's that day, and I literally like I woke up in the morning, drove like the hour and a half to get to Marty's. We played the game for about, I think it was more than 12 hours. Then I just drove home, got home at like 2 a.m. and went to sleep. That was my entire day. Was just playing one game and driving to and from it. That was the entire fucking day. It was so much. And I have never and will never win a game of this game. Like,
is it not randomized?
By now, like, I should have statistically won as a fluke, but no. Like I've played 30 games probably, and it's only like a 6-player game most of the time, and I've never won. It's like,
it must be more than just luck, because
it's me.
Like in Civilization, in Civilization, there's a lot of like obviously there's a lot of if you're good, you're good, but there's a lot of luck as well involved in map generation stuff like that.
Yeah, and sometimes you play with Andrew, and you find out halfway through a game that he turned off the victory condition you were working towards.
Oh no.
Yes.
He just turns off the religious victory and doesn't tell you when you're building an entirely religious government in your first game of that game ever in a multiplayer match.
No one
you shouldn't deserve to win for
that. No one ever does religious victory, and
shame on you.
The only people who ever pull off religious victory are bots, because they basically are too incompetent to fight me in a military battle. So they try to win with their garbage religion, and I will not allow it. You have to fight me with your stupid military or die.
But it's a mix. You can either play a pre-balanced board or you can play a randomized board, but there's still a lot of choices going on. Like oftentimes you put all the hexes down upside down, then you flip them all over, and then you roll dice to decide what chairs everyone sits in around the radius, because like their home systems are all around the outside of the galaxy. And then we'll either let people pick from scratch out of literally the entire deck of all of the like races you can play, which is a lot. I don't prefer that one. Or sometimes we'll let people pick. They draw through 2 or 3 at random, and then they have to pick one of them and do some version of that. Basically, it is a very long game, and I pretty consistently make some kind of mistake on like my second or third turn that I just feel for the rest of the game, and it just has rippling effects that just keep having more consequences, and things just keep getting worse, and I never can recover.
That's my experience with that kind of games as well.
It's rough. what's rough about it is that like one of the there's like two core mechanics that are more important than any of the actual like technology and fighting and so on to talk about. Which like one is that there's the objectives. So everybody draws a secret objective that only they can see, and if they accomplish that, then they can score it. But then there's also public objectives on the board that everyone can try to score, and you can only do one of each per turn. And so there's a thing that everyone's trying to accomplish that they're fighting over, and then there's your secret thing that is completely, it's like random difficulty, random goal, and also the difficulties change based on your context of what you're up to and what your what you're playing as and so on. So it's just up in the air how easy or hard it'll be. It could be literally like, get 2 red planets, and like, wow, I have red planets outside my home system. This was nothing. And sometimes it's like, fucking take an enemy home planet or some other bullshit. But the other core thing that really fucks you up is that there's these command tokens on your board. You place them into 3 different fields: tactical, fleet supply, and strategy. And so by default you have 3, then 2. And so your fleet supply is how many ships you can have in one hex. It's like your fleet limit. So like you need a larger one in order to have larger armies for larger fights. Tactical you spend every time you do any actions on the board, and strategy you spend every time you have a chance to use somebody's like roll. Like when they activate their roll, you can use strategy to activate like whatever special effect that is. And balancing that economy is so much more important than basically any other element of the game, and it's such a fucking struggle because you want to your goal is to be, in order to keep competitive with people, you want to be able to accomplish a victory point goal every single turn. Like every single turn, your motivation is accomplish that goal because that's what actually matters, not anything else. But you're trying to manage like a dozen like other priorities in the back of your head of like, okay, well, if I take as many planets as possible, I'll have resources for future things. But if I do these specific actions, I can try to increase my command token pool in the future, or so on and so forth. Or like, it's really easy to get really spread thin of like, I have the opportunity to pull off this move if I use all of the like options available to me across my character. I can pull off this crazy move that should put me in a better position and would be the best, most effective thing to do this turn. But that might spend so many tokens, and you only get 2 per turn normally, like as a passive regen, that you might just be in this drought afterwards. And what really fucked with me is I had this one amazing turn at the beginning of this game that was just everything going according to plan, and everything was going to be fine. And I took several planets and I accomplished my goal, and it's like, okay, here we go. I'm going to actually be off to a good start, and I'm playing a race that I know how to play. This should be good. I might actually have it. I actually thought like I might have a chance today for once. Then fucking JR was next to me, and he had the everyone has roles, and he had the leadership role, which has this effect where when he spends it, he gets a bunch of those tokens. But specifically, other people can exhaust their planets and spend the reputation part of it to get more command tokens themselves. So you have to buy them, but you can plan for it, and that's how you can replenish this really vital resource. And this motherfucker, he just sat on that and refused to activate it for like 8 consecutive turns until everybody had passed because they'd ran out of actions. And so he just starved me for resources for an entire turn indirectly, fucked all of my plans, and I spent like the next like 6 hours trying to recover from that. It's that kind of game where like it just goes bad. It always goes bad for me. And I don't know how to stop it. It goes bad so hard. I always make the wrong choice and think that I'm iterating on what happened last time and improving upon that. And it's somehow like my attempts to fix whatever went wrong last game only make the new game worse. And I don't know how to do well at this game, and I never will win.
I think you just need to come up with like a lot of plans.
It's so hard. I don't know how to win at it.
It's something that honestly, tabletop games, I like that if it's not too random based. I think it works better for longer games. But I think the most fun I have had with tabletop is always with games where you play for half an hour and then you're done, and then like everybody looks at each other and just talks a little bit, and now we're figuring out how to play the game, and everybody goes, let's do another one.
Yeah.
The shorter games I think are more rewarding. I mean, you played many times already, so you're saying that you're never gonna win, which is, it sounds like a reasonable conclusion. But,
Damn.
but if you're but if you're ever gonna play like once a year or something like that, the shorter games, I think they create better memories for everybody involved. At least for me, that's the case.
It's a mix. We definitely have tabletop days where we have a bunch of boards set up, sometimes 3 tables with different people playing at the same time, and you'll like there's kind of like a flow to the day where people will play games together and then switch out to another game, or they'll play the same game again, or 2 tables will finish the games at the same time, so they'll like rearrange the players between the 2 groups and pick games at the same time.
I want to do that again.
Yeah, no, it's fun. Yeah, Andrew was at some of them.
It's so long.
Those are
and now
good,
I'm like right next door. Please do more game nights.
Now that you're actually nearby, you're not restricted by when Shadow has to go outside.
Exactly.
As much because it's not far. Like those are fun days. I'll probably bring Stephanie to one of those if she's free that day, because those are fun.
As long as it's not a Sunday.
Regular tabletop games, it's just a bunch of people. But Twilight Imperium is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that one.
Yeah,
like
no,
don't make me do that.
Yeah, no, not Twilight Imperium. It's the one we play a bunch of like 20 to 30 minute games.
Okay, I like those.
And they usually devolve into a party game at some point, like near the end of the session. Like we play a lot of Codename pictures, which is so much fun, where you just divide the entire room into 2 groups. This game's so fucking cool. So you just put down a grid of tiles that have pictures on them, and then there's 2 people sitting behind. They're sitting at this like folding table, and then they're facing the entire room. That's the entire room split into 2 teams, and each of them's on the team of one of those 2 people. And that person has to try to get those people to pick the right tiles of who's the spies and who's the resistance members or whatever from the grid. But the way they do it is that they have to try to give a clue that they can spread as wide as possible. So it's this fucking Icarus game where you're doing this big risky thing where there's a bunch of really versatile pictures on the table that look like a weird, it's a frog riding a unicycle in the rain or some shit like that. Like it'll have like something that has like multiple elements and usually one extra element that's like extra subtle, and you're not quite sure what to think about that, and you're not sure if people pick up on it. And then what you can do as the clue giver, all you can say is one word and then one number. That's all you can do. And so the number is supposed to gesture towards them about how many guesses they should make, and you're trying to eliminate the board as fast as possible in competition with the other person. And so you just give this one word cryptic clue, and then 6 people just argue with each other about what the fuck you meant, and they're just losing their minds. And you might be immediately like, oh god, I've made a grave mistake. And you'll have to look these people in the eye and not make any facial expressions or reactions, and you have to just like listen to these people agonizingly just massively overthink your clue or go in a completely different direction with it, and they're going straight for the one that's going to make them lose the game instantly if they pick it, and it's just a fucking nightmare. And it's got the simplest rules, but it's so fucking entertaining because it's just this mess of this like game of telephone of trying to give like 6 people a clue, and then hearing one of them say exactly what you meant, but then somebody else correct them like, no, obviously it would be this, he's thinking, and then it's like, no, and then and then they go down this completely different logic hole that's completely wrong, and they argue for like 5 minutes before ruining the game. It's such a fucking ride. There's a lot of fun party games like that are mostly just people yelling at each other.
Perfect game.
As opposed to having like 50 rules and not knowing what's going on. And then
there's game. I think there's probably an equation somebody who is better at math could write out better than me about the value of a game being like equivalent to the amount of effort it takes to like the amount of, if there's too much effort for setup and cleanup, and if it's too convoluted, there's like the fun factor is driven down.
There's a lot of games that are really hard to understand until you just play a game first. Like you just have to play a game and just throw it away and just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna lose this one, but I need to see this game happening before I can understand it, and then you do something.
And they
like
usually
that.
are pretty quick games, which makes it okay. Like they're games that you can play in like 5-10 minutes, and you don't feel like you have generally wasted much time.
Wasted all your life.
Yeah, it's not like Twilight Imperium by the end of it where you're like, fuck, I guess I did something. I think I showed up, and that was about it.
I mean, this is very different, but I went on a road trip family vacation like a couple years ago, and my uncle was really determined to teach me and my brother how to play cribbage, which is a card game, the name of which fibbage is based off of from Jackbox. But cribbage is like it is kind of an annoyingly complicated card game. We end up like being able to learn it, and now me and my brother can just play it like without really thinking about it, which makes it fun. But when you are introducing a new person to this game, explaining the rules and watching their face as you explain it, you just see like the life drain from their eyes as they realize that this is not going to be worth all the learning it takes to make this game fun. The only reason it's fun for me and my brother is because we were forced to learn it. We had no choice, and so we had to get past that point. But like, I would never make a person play cribbage with me. It is not fun the first like 20 times you play it.
20 times.
And it requires that little
It's good 10 hours.
that little wooden board with the pegs in it. Like that's a cribbage board. So you have to like have a cribbage board with you. Like yeah.
There's a lot of card games I have no idea to play, like bridge.
And it's funny because I can't even explain the rules right now if I wanted to, and I'd have to sit down and like
just start.
Remember. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's
I never remember which one fibbage is either. Is it the one where you need to like complete
fibbage
sentences?
is the one where they ask a question. And
you're trying to come up with a lie that sounds reasonable enough for it to be the actual answer.
Or more specifically, you do try to genuinely answer the question, because if you get it right, then you're like, oh, that's the answer, and then you're really set. But you want to write convincing lies also, because then people will pick your option. So if you trick people, so it's like basically everyone writes a fake answer, then everyone tries to genuinely answer the question, and everyone that picks your answer, you tricked, and you get points for them. While also being rewarded for getting it right.
I assume the card game isn't like that.
No. Sounds like
you wouldn't
sounds
be
like it
like
sucks.
writing.
Yeah,
would make it really difficult.
My dad plays a lot of my dad's really into card games. You know, he like plays poker and actually does really well. He's like gone to competitions and stuff. My one rule is like, don't bet the house, and he's like, okay. He's never bet my family's house. Like we were never homeless, so that's good. But there's some games that are like annoying. Like I played like Pai Gow with him, and like I played a lot of card games. Even like Texas Hold'em, I think can be like a little bit annoyingly complicated. And there's a lot of formalities involved in like how you like check and ask for like money and things like that.
Yeah, I don't really like poker at all.
I'm really good. There's some games I'm really really good at. I actually kicked ass in Liar's Dice recently, and I was like impressed. I was like, I like lied my ass off. I did really good. So watch out, everyone.
I've played a little bit of that as well. I think it's easier to grasp, so you can get into, because every time I played poker, I know I'm not playing it right. The dice version basically is a lot easier to get involved in.
I am surprisingly good at Caravan.
That sounds familiar.
Fallout New Vegas?
Yeah, from Fallout New Vegas.
That's why it sounds familiar.
I have literally never lost a game of Caravan.
You liar.
No, I can show you. I have like I have the picture. I have like video proof of this. I have never lost a game. Anytime someone's like
negative.
Sure, I can. Every time I run into somebody and it's like, I play Caravan, I was like, all right, let's fight. I've never lost. I bet everyone until they run out of money, and I just beat them in Caravan every time, because you can just there's like something about Caravan just clicks with me, where I understand innately how to do it and how to like basically trip up any person, because you just speed run to like full carts while someone's like, wait, I need to stop you, but if I'm stopping you, I can't play my own Caravan. I have to be busy with you. It's like, yeah, here's more cards. And you just like only have the cards literally you need to create the perfect, like, I think it's like what, 25?
26,
26 is the highest you can get, but you don't want to try to get to 26, because
so you just like avoid all offense and then you just win.
Yeah,
I think it's 21. Above 21.
Maybe Caravan's not a very good game.
Personally, I think it's a pretty shoddy game.
It sounds like if you just
one,
ignore an entire element that makes you win, that's probably not a good sign.
But so someone else can do the same thing. You can have it. The problem is that most people don't play that aggressively.
That way, yeah.
Most people are pretty like, all right, I'm gonna. So basically, like the goal here is you don't want any cards in Caravan that are below a 6. You just like basically
It's
you
8s,
want
9s, and
you
6s.
want a fuck ton of 10s, as many 10s as you can cram into your hand, and couple like basically 2 kings, 2 queens, 2 what are the fucking ones? Jacks. There you go. 2 jacks. I kept wanting to say jokers, but you don't want jokers. 2 jacks, and then like I guess like 3 9s, 3 8s, 3 7s, 3 6s. And the idea is you just want to slap down all 10s at the beginning of your match, just 10
as
10
much
10.
as you can, yeah.
Yeah, and then the next round 10 10 10, and then the last round 6. And then you're done.
I don't
That's
do
it.
it like that. I rely more on the 8s because the double 8 goes for the 16. So if I have a 10, I can like make 8. I add 10 to 8 and 8 because if they're from the same, what's the name of the color? That's not color. It's the other one.
You're talking about
Suits.
suit.
Yeah. If they're from the same suit, you can just play them against each other. I think. I don't remember.
Yeah,
exactly,
you also want to make sure that all your cards are the exact same suit.
Yeah, but it's a game that you can definitely get better at by just having the right cards. And
that's the
I
thing.
think,
It's like as long as you just understand as long as you understand that what your goal is and how someone can stop you, you can basically just keep running ahead
every
fast that
game's
someone has to
basically
like,
worse the moment it's a collectible card game.
Sort of. It's
That's-
weird
'cause that's
because
just
like
not-
you
that's
say
just-
that.
That's just not balanced.
it's
You
well,
say that, but
you can only have
if you
30
com-
cards in your hand, so you're always capped at 30 cards.
In your deck, you mean?
yeah.
Yeah, in your deck, you can only have 30 cards.
So I'm like, fuck off any game that lets you have a 30 card hand.
no.
Uno
30.
does it.
You just have this full fan.
I mean, Uno does.
Keith, you say
only
that
when you're
any
losing.
game that allows you, and any game that allows you to collect is worse. But if you compare Caravan, but also what's the other one from The Witcher 3?
Gwent.
Sorry,
Gwent.
Gwent.
Yeah.
What a beautiful
If you compare
name.
Caravan and Gwent with what The Witcher 1 and 2 have, or even the one from Mass Effect, or Knights of the Old Republic.
Gwent is neat, but it is made worse by the fact that people don't just have access to every card and can't just
it's so much better
make
than
their
what
own
they did
tactical
in-
choices. Yeah,
It's so
but
much better than what they
having
did with
worse
the poker.
options doesn't make a bad option better.
Honestly, any game that
No.
has like a card game built into the game, I just avoid. I try really hard not to play any of these. Like I'm just like, I don't want to do that.
Gwent's really well integrated in that it is it's good for an RPG because you're gonna collect these things over the course of your giant open world game that you're playing, and really funnily, like they integrated it. In Witcher 3, they integrated Gwent as a skill check, like during conversations. But like not as like you don't just click it and go, but like, you know how like in New Vegas or whatever, you'd be like, oh yes, my engineering skill or whatever the fuck, or my medicine skill will solve this problem. Sometimes you solve problems in Witcher 3 by playing Gwent, and you click that option and you genuinely duel that person in like a 10-minute game of Gwent, and it changes what happens in the story, whether you win or lose.
Dude,
and that's incredible.
in Fallout New Vegas, I would just keep like I would save and just keep gambling until I got like I would just reset the save if I lost all my money. I just do it over and over again until I won.
Yeah.
That's it.
But on the tabletop topic
hear...
though, like I feel really bad every time, but whenever anyone explains to me how to play a tabletop game in the pre-playing ramble of trying to explain it before we actually start playing, about 2 minutes in, I completely lose the thread. And it happens every time, and I just quietly like nod along like uh-huh. And then we start playing the game, and then I just have to ask most of the questions again anyway while I'm playing it. Like I can only contextualize a game by actually playing it. I can't. There's why a lot of tutorials are bad in video games too, where it's like if you do the Monster Hunter Rise thing where you throw me like that fucking game would show me like 7-page instructions about a thing, but without where I'm not interacting with it, but instead they're just explaining it all to me in advance. And it's like, when you write that, or when somebody explains it to me in person, they're not accounting for just how many random things they're saying that I don't even understand the context of in the first place. Like, so many terms and words get thrown around, and I have to like connect them, and they may or may not have ever been said before, but even if they were said in like a previous ramble where I still haven't contextualized it with any real gameplay yet, and I still don't really get how it all goes together. And I'll just it's like half of it will stick, and the half that does stick is like misinterpreted and like the opposite of what they mean or something. Like, it just, you gotta teach people. You gotta teach while doing.
How did you manage to learn how to play D&D?
D&D is really straightforward. It's just a fucking improv group, and whenever you want to do something, somebody says, "Okay, roll this one."
Yeah, but like then you have advantage and you have resistance.
And when you make your character, you just read the step-by-step instructions and do those steps as you're reading them.
That's true, actually.
D&D is a really simple board game, all things considered. It's overblown. It's only hard for the dungeon master.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially since your character starts off with like, "Hey, I have a stick and 1 trick," and 6 hours later I'll have 2 tricks. Like, it's such a slow on-ramping experience that you are not going to be overwhelmed. It's not that deep. You mostly just say what you want to do, and you just kind of talk to each other and role play, and then it's like, okay, make a dexterity throw or whatever, because you're trying to like do a sweet flip or whatever. Like, that's what D&D is.
No, that's the learning part.
D&D is easier than a lot of tabletop games that take a half an hour to play.
Yeah, that's true. But it's probably harder to convince people to play it than
it's a time commitment, and also everyone thinks you're a loser for playing it. Is like the stigma. But like, it's just that you just hang out.
It's gotten pretty hip. Like,
yeah, well, now it's doing a lot better.
Like, there's that whole like fraction of like, oh, it's a nerd chic, like, you know, fucking Big Bang Theory made me think it's fun, like those kinds of people. But
D&D is great, and you'd probably be good at it too. It's just fun.
Because I'm imaginative.
You just all tell stories together, and generally speaking, you just you have party members, and they all have personalities. And I need water.
I would love to play something like that. It's just like I fucking work all the fucking time.
Yeah,
like that's the problem. Is like, you know,
like everyone just has a little personality,
consistent work schedule.
You just riff off them and tell jokes, and sometimes bully each other a little bit, because that's like the friction of your inner party relationship. And then your dungeon master sends you all on some kind of journey, and usually it's just a series of problems that you approach with your character's unique problem-solving mentality and whatever weird tools they have at their disposal. And that's where the comedy and weird shit happens, because you're like, I'm sorry, you fucking did what? And like, the dungeon master isn't ready for any of these half the time. Like, it's just like stuff that comes completely out of the just nowhere. Like, I did a D&D story thing at one point where I just explained some of the weird shit that happened, but like, I really fixated on one of my druids with this like role play. I was essentially just like, I'm gonna be Edward Elric, because I've got this ability to like shape stone.
Where's Nina?
So like, I realized like I could turn into there was like a castle siege, and like obviously it's like, oh, you're gonna figure out how to like somehow shield yourself from all these arrows and like storm their front gate, or like they're expecting you to like do some normal attack. I turned into my travel form, ran as fast as possible around the corner out of line of sight of all of the enemies, then used shape stone to just create a doorway in the wall and walked directly into their armory alone. And it's just like, you just do fucked up weird shit that no one expects you to do. Or like our baby, you made me all wet moment, where I fucking escaped the guards by turning into an old lady. Then I stayed an old lady, and then I like pretended to be an old lady with you, and then I pretended to be like, and they're like, oh no, I'm dying, and then you carried this poor old lady up to her room to take care of her, and it was just my giant cat man the whole time. It was just
that sounds beautiful.
Stupid. It's so fucking stupid.
D&D is
beautiful.
It was a very interesting moment. I liked it a lot.
It's all so much simpler than like Suburbia. And Suburbia is a 20-minute game.
I think that like sometimes the challenges with D&D are when different characters clash in weird ways, or different playstyles clash in weird ways. Like earlier today, I'm currently playing a mage who is basically a thief. So it's like the archetypal rogue,
just took
but
my
he's
character.
A mage. No, he's like a 007 kind of person. But if 007 was a thief instead of a spy, I've never watched 007.
I was gonna say, so you're a spy, and then you're like, if that spy was a thief, like, okay, so you made Thunder in the Morning, you made my character.
No, he's no, it's not. He's not like that. But he does play. He's basically a frontliner mage, and so we got into a situation where there's this big monster in a cave that we see before the monster sees us, and we're all discussing what's going on. And one of the party members comes up with a most daring plan of throwing the monster down a big ravine that's in the cave. And I knew that party member already. I know they don't like, when they have an idea, they are very hard to convince otherwise. And so as a player, what I found was the easiest thing to do was to come up with a plan for me that would allow me to, let him do his thing, and then I would do my thing. And my thing was just to cast one specific spell that pulls enemies towards me, and then they would fall down the ravine. And so that was a challenge that I overcame, but I overcame in the quietness of my own mind, because I didn't discuss it with anybody. But the sort of inter-character struggle is very real. I found that particularly with Paradin, when the one with the "you made me all wet" situation. I found that particularly with Paradin, that the inter-character struggle is very real. Like if you're in character a lot of time as you're playing, it's very intense. But you can share it with everyone, because it's like your own character.
He's dead, and I don't think anyone understands what that character was doing.
No one.
There's a whole arc
is aware
of my character with his incurable curiosity problems, spending an entire episode just trying to figure out what the fuck you were up to.
Yeah, I don't envy your character having to spend as much time as it did finding out nothing. You just walked away having no more knowledge than you had left with. You just came back like, what?
That's part of the fun of it, though, is that like we were playing out of a module, so it was literally just a plot written down that Effie's like running us through. But like that plot didn't involve me fucking cheesing it by running because he has the tabaxi cat shit going on. Just the moment the cops came in, instead of explaining ourselves like everyone else was gonna do, fucking climbing straight up a wall and jumping out a window and then sprinting for miles to get away from the pursuit. Like that's just that's just me inventing a problem. Like that's my character's bullshit being a problem, or fucking robbing Paradin's corpse from the gallows. Because I had to know. Yeah, but I was so good at performing, I pretended to tie the shoes I wasn't wearing.
Yeah.
And he fell for it. So that was like he's great. It's so fucking stupid.
The rest of us are just living our lives, and he's over here just being like this terrifying nightmare
cat.
Where he just,
so I could find out why he did all that stuff.
No,
it didn't
that's
lead
the
to
thing.
answers.
You actually didn't need to know about
why he
did
to
that.
know.
But you didn't. You never found out. So you literally used all this time,
but I had
all
to
this
pursue
risk.
It's literally like it's like the first paragraph or whatever of the tabaxi. Like you're fucked. You're stuck with that curiosity. You obsess. It's basically playing a neurodivergent character. Like you're just hard committed to like this is what I'm fixating on today.
But it's also up to each player to respect those limitations of certain characters. But I think Effie, it's a good thing that Effie is very serious with not allowing the players to do wild stuff. But usually that's not the case. I find with like shows online, because there's so much, there's so much of an ego already. I say ego not in the sort of selfish way or anything, but whenever any one character in a big show like Critical Role does something that would be extraordinary or just wild, and it does it just more for the audience's benefit, like for example running away from the cops the first time they see them, that could be taken by the DM as just, oh, it's just a fun thing that they do. But Effie didn't do that. Effie sent the cops after you for a while. and for Paradin it's the same thing. Like I was Paradin was
he was being mean that day.
No, but the thing is, it also allowed for Paradin to have a story that was, it's a tragedy, but it's a rightful tragedy, because Paradin was the kind of character that never justified himself to anybody, the more you pushed him, the more he closed up, and also because of his personality, he ended up, he got killed, basically.
And we'll never know why.
Then he had a recipe in his pockets that Thunder in the Morning stole.
It went places fun eventually, but I still think he was bullying me that day. He made me make so many rolls for just the act of running, and it's like, why do I have points of exhaustion? I'm just going for a fucking run as a character that's good at running. This shouldn't be this hard.
That's because you literally booked it. Like, you didn't interact at all with what he was trying to do, and you just were like, gone.
Yeah. I mean, everyone else is there.
You did like pocket sand on him and ran.
I didn't undo his scene. Everyone else is there to do the scene. I'm just having another scene.
That's the problem. He had to do so much work because of your stupid little getaway.
It says, look at me.
If I just get away, then he's done working.
Didn't you get arrested, though?
No, later.
No.
Later, right.
Not from that situation. Yeah, he just kept running.
It was built into my character that he was wanted before the whole thing started, which is why he would book it every time, even if he didn't know if anyone recognized him. Because he doesn't trust.
But he always commits crimes. Yeah. Doesn't trust, but constantly committing crimes.
Because he's a thief. He became a sorcerer because he stole something, and then it fucked up.
No, he became a thief because he stole something.
Well, you're not born technically, but he stole a lot of things before he became a sorcerer from stealing things.
Oh, okay.
He was a thief from day one, a sorcerer from yesterday.
Oh, wait a minute. I am copying your character.
Yeah, no, you stole my character.
Because he also became a sorcerer because he stole something.
Yeah, no, you totally stole my exact character, which itself was a copy of another character, because it was a campaign I was doing with Marty and people at his house, and that campaign ended preemptively because there was a new DM that was struggling with a bit, and one player in particular just being a huge asshole. So the same asshole I've talked about in other episodes, actually. And so he just made it so uncomfortable and unfun that we just stopped meeting. So then I just copy pasted that character and changed him from being a demon to a cat. I forget what the cat, tiefling. I changed from tiefling to tabaxi, but basically made the character otherwise identical, down to picking the same spells. I'm like, we're gonna go again, and then now that campaign's canceled at like the same level, and I have to make this character a third time to finally see him through.
Could I make a character, like hypothetically, could I make a character that's just Keith in a cat suit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could easily do that.
Weird and uncomfortable.
So I could just
it's weird and uncomfortable for you.
It's a human bard.
You can make a human character.
It's my fan fiction about Keith in his life.
You can make a human character that wears cat ears or whatever. Yeah,
I want a cat girl Keith character.
What? There's a lot of words that made that confusing.
I hope the people that do fan art are listening.
Please.
No.
Please.
They can't know.
I'm just gonna censor it all.
I'll tell them. I'll tell them.
I'll track them all down.
Neko-chan, Keith.
I don't like cat girls. They're weird.
What?
And they usually,
are cat girls furries?
There was an argument about this with Bird in chat recently.
This is an argument. Like this happens.
The big
They're
debate.
cat girls. It's not girls with cat ears. It's cat girls.
Well, I mean, are they actually cat girls, or are they girls with cat ears?
If you didn't want animal traits, they wouldn't be cat girls in the first place. So, like, on some level, you want animal traits, apparently, if you want cat girls.
Is Princess Peach in Super Mario World the new one? Like, is she a cat girl? She's definitely
a cat girl.
She's a furry. Those are like fursuits. Like, they have human faces, but an entire body is that.
But if you have a human face, is it still a furry?
They're wearing costumes. Like, their whole body's in a costume with a normal human face sticking out. So that's just the fursuit.
Is a person in a onesie a furry? If it's an animal onesie.
Like a kigurumi.
Where are we drawing the lines on these?
I don't know what a furry is.
I'm assuming having animal
I don't know what a furry is.
Parts.
No one knows what a furry is. I can't get answers from people about what a furry actually is.
I think in reality, it's just a person who really likes anthropomorphic animal character. Like I think anthropomorphic animal characters.
But that's so broad and includes basically every human on the planet.
A furry is someone with bestiality tendencies who doesn't want to act on them, so they anthropomorphize animals.
I think they'll argue with you on that one.
That's even less accurate than what Stephanie said.
Then none of it makes sense.
I think it's a person who identifies.
Nothing makes sense.
I think a person who identifies with anthropomorphic.
I think a furry is just someone who says they're
on a personal
furry.
level.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as that. You're a furry if you say you're a furry, and that's the entire. Because I think it's because whenever someone addresses them, they say
it's easier and more comfortable to deal with.
Because they always say the furry fandom. So I think it's just a simple matter of like, are you in the fandom or not? Do you engage with the community? Are you? It's like the difference between being an Undertale, like liking Undertale, or being an Undertale fan, engaging with the fandom, which is like this whole cultural thing that I don't understand very well in any context. But it's like there's like fan communities around everything, and there's like a fan community for anthropomorphic
I watched
characters.
a super eye patch wolf video on that, and it went into this deep dark rabbit hole of fandoms about fandoms about fandoms about fandoms, kaleidoscoping into eternity. About Undertale specifically.
That Undertale video is fucking weird. I had no idea.
There's an alternative reality, and then like people ship people in that alternative reality. But then there's like another alternative reality that like branches off of that one, and like there's like a fucking. It's actually fun to watch because he loses his mind. He's like, I can't explain it.
Like I once played Undertale Red, but I did not know that there was like dozens and dozens of Undertale fan games. And then on top of that, there's also like fucking like a dozen different Undertale like universes, and some of them that are mixed together, and some of them that are responses to them. There's like an Infinite Crisis, like DC Infinite Crisis of Undertale universes.
It's funny to see what people will attach to. Like it's hard to predict sometimes. Like when you present something into the world, that it will become this. Like one of the ones that caught me off guard pretty hard was fucking Five Nights at Freddy's. I wasn't expecting like the whole world to fucking collapse in on itself.
Oh yeah,
people getting really weird and shipping all these characters together like that I wouldn't have guessed that if you had to ask me about the future, you know.
Does that
there's just some things just happen, like some things just come out and I'm like, oh, there's a big community for that. I might like Super X, Y, or Z, but I wasn't expecting people to like X, Y, or Z this much.
Like for some reason, Super Hulock is a fandom specifically, which is Supernatural, Doctor Who, and Sherlock combined. And like, I don't get how this happens. The internet's fucking strange, and specific groups of people amalgamate and then do this stuff at people. And like, I don't know how we get there. I saw a really specific weird thing. I was looking into on our so like obviously I knew that Lisa the Painful existed, and then I knew Lisa the Joyful was like an expansion sequel thing on Steam. But the moment we started uploading Lisa videos, people responded with like that's actually the second game. There's a game called Lisa the First, which is like a Yume Nikki style exploration, like nightmare,
like a first-person game.
No, Yume Nikki's that one top-down game with the girl with the braids and stuff.
Oh, for some reason I was thinking of the cat version of LSD Dream Simulator.
Oh, the Neku.
Nekojishi?
Not Nekojishi. I thought that was going to get more meme votes, but you put it in the poll and it was last place.
I guess all the furries stuck with me. They didn't want to come with you. I don't know why.
When Keith gets his fan art from the cat girl Keith.
Yeah.
No. But not only did I find out that Lisa the First is a thing, so there's a prequel that we need to play between Lisa that we should play between Painful and Joyful. Was it made
afterwards though?
No,
it was made before.
It was made 4 years sooner.
Oh gosh,
I had no idea it existed. No one ever talks about Lisa the First. But then I found out. This is the weird part. I found out that Lisa the Joyful specifically, which I think is just a DLC for Lisa the Painful, Lisa the Joyful specifically has a fan mod that like expands its content and changes it and so on, and made by a different person. But then it gets even weird. I gotta bring up my to-do list so I can read the name correctly. Let's see the Stephanie list. There it is.
I got
so Lisa the Joyful has a fan mod that's like an expansion or whatever called Lisa the Pointless. But then Lisa the Pointless has a fan mod made by another person that's a mod of the mod called Lisa the Pointless Scholar of the Wilbur Sin Edition.
What?
And it's
That's
like
clearly a reference, though, right?
I don't know. It might be a reference to something that happens in Lisa the Pointless or something. But like that is a person making an expansion / mod of somebody else's fan game that itself is a response to an original game. So like there's a third stage by the third different person in this fucking chain of custody. It's so fucking hard to parse. I have no idea which one to play. Like the internet's just
all of
fucking
them,
weird.
clearly.
It'd be like if somebody made their own version mod of like the Forgotten City, which itself is a Skyrim mod, like it just kept iterating and it kept getting weirder. And that's basically what the Undertale fandom seems to be.
It's like playing telephone, kind of.
Yeah.
It's like you say it again, and say it again.
Like there's entire Undertale fan universes
alternate reality
that are responses to other Undertale fan universes. And now Undertale itself has its own sequel fan universe in canon, which is that Deltarune is an anagram of Undertale and features many of the same characters, but they're not the same person, clearly. Like, it's not continuity, and they're living a different life in a different context, but they have the same personality still and the same character design. So it's like a remix of the Undertale world in Deltarune. So even the actual main line started doing the thing that the fans were doing.
I wonder,
it's so much.
like, if you ask somebody, if you ask, like, hey, Toby Fox, like, how do you feel about this, like, deep dark hole of, like, reiterations into eternity? I almost think like somebody would just have to, like, cover their ears and be like, I'm not gonna think about this. Like, I'm gonna just ignore this. This is too much for me.
I'm too
what have I
busy
done?
making my own fan fiction of my own game.
Yeah, which is something I can do because I made it.
And it's free. And it's long now. And I don't.
If you're like a person
It's nuts
that
to me.
made like, if you're like, hypothetically, if you're like, oh, I made a superhero, I made Batman, and like, 20 years down the line, you see like the comic book where Batman like runs for president and is an awful person who hates immigration or something, and you're like, oh no, like my character has not somebody they can do this because that's what I'm promoting, like superhero comics.
Are you referencing the real thing that happened?
Did that
Yes.
Did that really
with
happen?
Batman?
Is he president?
What? No, not president,
No.
but no, like the guy that made the guy that did a bunch of Batman comics is now like horrible reactionary person, and he went back and made more of that kind of Batman comic that's like really bad. Is it's Frank Miller, I think, that made like the Dark Knight Rises or something. Or
Yep.
that's the name of the
It's
other movie
him.
or whatever. But he went back and made like a sequel series to that thing, which is seen as like this big influential thing, and it's like all of his bullshit's baked into it. It's just like, oh god,
Police
make him
lives
go
matter.
away.
Like Batman believes in this. Like, how would you feel about that? I just think about that. Like, if your character, someone else has taken it off the rails, and you're like, oh no, look what they're doing over there. I don't want to think about that.
Batman's like entire thing is just stealing government subsidies and like not contributing back to the society that he constantly beats people up in. So I don't know, like
Batman's
know,
kind
I
of
mean,
not a
I-
good person. Like,
I
he's not.
think Batman does believe in like Blue Lives Matter. Like, wouldn't he? That seems pretty on brand
if
for him.
he's a billionaire, so you know he doesn't pay taxes.
Yeah, that's exactly.
He's
makes
not
him
just
evil
a
right off the
billionaire.
bat.
He basically just is like one step from owning Gotham. Like Wayne Corp just
and
owns
yet it's
every
still
single
that
product.
bad, almost, and he's not fixing it.
Well, because all he does is sell products in that city, except like, so he just takes everything from it, all of its resources, its people, its labor, and just gives them products, but pays none of the taxes towards it. Like he just financially drains Gotham in exchange for making weird ninja stars to hit people in that city with. Like, I don't really
They're not
understand.
stars, they're boomerangs.
They call them
excuse me.
batarangs, but they don't come back. Like,
Oh yeah,
that's
they
not how-
don't. That's true.
They definitely just get thrown like stars, but they're not balanced
he just
well enough to be a star
Fucking-
either.
Yeah, he just throws them at people. People just die, and we just move
No, they
on
don't
from
die.
it.
They go to sleep.
That's what he
Batman doesn't kill
says. I don't
people.
trust
That's what he
Batman to tell me if those
Sometimes
people are alive
Batman
or
maybe
dead.
should
What the
kill
fuck?
people.
Yeah.
What if
Aren't the
the
police the police are always after him? And I imagine they're not doing it because he's a vigilante. They're doing it because he's probably killing people. Like,
I really do think that the tax evasion aspect of Batman is
Needs to be
unavoidable.
explored further in a comic series.
Is it?
like no one
I'm
talks.
saying it needs to be.
Nobody talks about like
Oh, it needs to
the
be.
people who have to clean up Batman's mess, or like the taxpayer money that goes into like fixing the buildings and shit that he
Oh, yeah.
ruins. And like it'd be really
He
funny to
drives
have.
his car on roofs.
It'd be really funny to have a comic
Oh
book
my
that
God,
was
the amount of damage.
what's his butler's name? What's his friend?
Alfred.
What if there's a comic just about Alfred having to basically cover up and fix all the shit that Batman does and pay off people all the time, so
he's the
Batman
fixer.
can have his little hobby and like
He's literally the fixer.
Yeah, Alfred's just like, okay, sorry guys, it's happened again. We broke all your windows. Here's a check to fix it.
There's some weird badass Alfred plot lines here and there. Like
Alfred's weird. I don't
like
know.
Alfred being like Batman has sworn not to kill anyone, but I haven't. Like you're like, holy shit, Alfred.
I'm here to clean it up. Like
Alfred is like canonically some Vietnam vet who just apparently has decided that like the war has made him humble, but like not like what's it called? What's the word? But he's not a pacifist. He's still very aggressive, but he's just like, I'll let the younger children deal with it. But then every so often someone's like, I'm going to ruin Batman entirely. And it's like, all right, well, now I'm just going to shoot you in the head. It's like, wait, what? It's like
you get used to the Michael Caine version of like poor delicate Alfred. But then like you watch Gotham and he's like really intimidating. Like the way they cast him and the way he's set up. It's like, oh yeah, he's here to protect an orphan whose parents are dead. He's got this whole militant backstory and everything. Like this dude's dangerous. Like he can take care of himself. And they fuck with that in other versions.
Even as a kid, I think I remember hearing the introduction when the first time I came across Batman. It was in I think it was the animated TV series, and the introduction to him having all that stuff is that his company gives him his company either in my mind it was this company pays for all of this. But obviously that's not how it works. He earns enough money to pay for all of that. But like in my mind, I was like, how do they not know that he has all this stuff? He must be, hiding it, obviously. So the tax evasion is like baked into, I feel anyway, is baked into the premise. Because in real life, that would be the biggest problem with Batman is that he wouldn't be able to hide from the IRS or something. They would figure out why is he buying so much.
There's some guy that reads a fuck ton of Batman that they have to like. They're going to be leaving an angry comment because they've heard this exact conversation 100 times and they've already have all their counter arguments ready because they're like 12 layers deep into it from previous arguments. Well,
this is the first time I'm saying this in my entire life, so meh.
My argument is like, does Bruce Wayne, is he owner, like CEO of the company, or is he a board member? And
both.
If
it probably depends on when you're asking.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think like, does that technically mean he's like stealing from the company when he takes the gadgets that he uses? Because it's all like it's R&D that is repurposed into military weapons that is then sold to the government, but like Batman just kind of like sneaks in the middle of that and he's like, ooh, look, someone made like a cool gun, I'm gonna turn it into a net cannon, and like just walks away with that. But like, is that theft? Is that like technically he's like infringed on a patent of his own company? Is he allowed to just steal products from his own company and like kind of brand them as his own? Like the Batarang is clearly a thing that Wayne Corp sells. He just put his Bat logo on it. Like, is that legal?
Granted, like I think a lot of the legality questions come into like the question of when it's a product, which it's not. I mean, because he's not selling the Bat stuff.
But isn't there like parts of it? Isn't there like a thing where they do sell Batman paraphernalia? Like they sell little like branded Batman stuff.
Merch in universe.
Yeah, there has to be Batman merch in universe
because people know him and like him. There's kids are gonna want toys.
There are people in the universe, like like people in the crowd or whatever, wearing Batman hats or something. Like there has to be merch for Batman.
Well, it's like does Batman? Doesn't Spider-Man have merch in universe? Like in the movie, like doesn't that come up in the Tobey Maguire movies?
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, it's all like bootleg merch though. Like people are just like doing the Calvin and Hobbes thing. We're like, fine, if you won't sell it, I will. Yeah, but it's still like it's such a weird.
Batman goes
like,
back to the furry thing. Batman Beyond was the one where everyone could modify their bodies to be animals.
Well, I mean, Batman Beyond was a lot of things. It was
like a cyberpunk thing.
Batman Beyond was... There was like... I think like Scarecrow literally was a scarecrow. I think he like was like an actual like scarecrow
That
human
sounds
hybrid
easy
thing.
to defeat.
Like,
Very flammable.
I don't know. Like Batman
I'm
Beyond
the
was
most
weird. It was
flammable
kind of like
Batman
a.
villain.
It was very much the 2000s. Like it's exactly what you would imagine as like a 2000s Batman. You're like, oh, let's just take the Jetsons and Batman and mwah, look at that, mwah, beautiful. Everyone flies
Stephanie's
around in
currently
cars.
Desperately trying to hold her cell phone away from the microphone because she keeps getting notifications, and she's had this phone for a while now, and she cannot figure out how to mute notification sounds.
Oh yeah, Android is like that.
I feel like I need a council of people that will like try to help her that might know how to fix this.
Dude,
because it has to be fixable.
All it lets me do, I can't turn the volume down. It won't let me turn the volume down for like text messages. The only thing I can do is to like individually click each person and put like no notification for each person. But if somebody texts me who isn't already in my list of messages, I won't have the ability to like I'd have to like find them in my contacts to do this. So if somebody texts me out of the blue, I haven't done this yet. So if my aunt sends me a text, it goes ding.
It's got to be fixable though, right? Like there's no way.
My volume's
there's no
down
way.
so
She has to just not be able to find it.
I click the button for volume and it's down all the way.
Your fastest way to do this is to create a list of people that are like important to you, like your family or whatever. And then just and I don't know if you have friends, you have a dog that has a cell phone that wants to get in contact with you. Whoever's like important enough that they should be able to reach you no matter what time of day, no matter what emergency. And then when you're doing something you don't want sound, just turn on do not disturb, and then nothing shows up. Like it won't make sounds, it won't vibrate, nothing will happen. It will just be like your phone is turned off for you.
No, do not disturb shows the notification pop up.
Oh sure, but I'm saying it won't do like it does noises? None of the like no noises, no vibrations, or nothing. You'll just see like a notification, but you won't hear or feel it. And unless they're on that list, unless it's like, your mom messages you and you're like, oh shit, that's important. Maybe she's like, she needs to be able to get in contact with me.
I feel like all those important people would send me stupid shit too. Like it wouldn't be like an emergency list of people because they would just send me like memes or something. Like my little brother would be on my like list of like people that I would like want to know if something happened in an emergency, but he also just like sent me some stupid thing.
That's why I said like it's you kind of have to be a little bit more selective. For me, I only have emergency contacts on it. Like that's it. People that like either I need to be able to know that they're not dead or an emergency, or they need to be able to reach me like in the middle of the night to let me know of some kind of like news or something. Which is like basically like two people, and everyone else is part of like the nope, I'm not gonna get into your bullshit.
Andrew, being very antisocial helps in that solution.
Well, sure, but but again, this applies to like if you're in a group text with half your family.
I'm just saying you're missing a crucial step there. Is the being antisocial.
I just have my phone completely muted all the time.
No, mine's on muted right now. It still dings at me.
I don't think anyone can wake me up. This has
only been a problem since I upgraded or updated my phone, and I think they're trying to force obsolescencing me. Like, get a new phone, bitch. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
After I die, like, you'll take my money when I'm dead.
I'd be miserable if my phone could wake me up ever. Because there's so many random people in my life that might text me at 2 a.m. or call me at like fucking 6 a.m. or something. Like, and it's like, no, like that would ruin my day if it.
That's like top tier antisocial.
Yes. I just have my phone muted all the time. Period. I mean, I'm recording like on and off all the time. Most of the time I'm awake, just kind of here and there. So it's like it's always inconvenient to have sounds anyway. But then also like the whole time I'm asleep, people could just like ruin my day by waking me up.
I like the idea that you're basically like, look, you're allowed to have an emergency within this time window, which is the time window that I'm awake, but also not distracted by anything else.
I mean, everybody has better options for emergencies than me.
Man, I would not wake up.
Really?
I am not anyone's best option in an emergency. Like,
what at all? Like no, really, nobody. You're nobody's best option for an emergency.
I mean, all my extended family is hours away and has someone else there. Like I am not a go-to person to wake up at 3 a.m. because somebody has to get to the hospital. Like there are like 10 people in that town they can get to first before me.
I guess that's fair. I'm pretty much like the only line of defense, really.
Yeah, no, there's like there's no context where it ever happened. Whereas like any given day, I wake up to like 3 text messages from like the household group chat, and like my mom probably tried to call me at 6 a.m. because she woke up and just assumes other people are awake. And it's like, no, you're old and you don't sleep very much anymore. Other people need to sleep all night.
I like the idea that she's like evolved beyond sleep. She's like, I no longer need it.
That's what old is. You just sleep less, more and more until you sleep forever. You sleep
earlier and you wake up earlier.
No, you would literally sleep less.
That is actually true.
Yeah, old people sleep way less.
Yeah, young
people are supposed to sleep the most, which is why high school's fucked up. So like, wake up at 4 to go to school. It's like, we're supposed to sleep like 12 hours a day. Fuck you.
The idea that your body
society
is like,
in a way that doesn't convenient to your biology.
The idea that your body is like realizing that it's running out of time to do stuff. It's like, oh fuck. Just you don't need to sleep anymore. It's fine. You're you're only getting older. It doesn't matter. Just do stuff, please.
It probably is something to like the extent like your body might just be regenerating less and working less
because it's just
need to work as hard.
So it just doesn't sleep as much. Like, I mean, I think that might be part of it. You're just kind of dying in slow motion.
Oh my gosh.
There's like less and less because like the parts of your body that would be doing work at night and value sleep are going away.
I like the idea that there's a hill eventually you come over where it's like, I'm growing, I'm dying. Like,
yeah, I mean,
like eventually the train stops going up. It's just going down now.
And peak.
I think we're already there. I think we're I think we're at the top of the down right now.
It'll be around the time that we're like 2 generations out of touch with the people that are actually watching YouTube.
I can't wait for that
TikTok
day. That'll be great.
Comes out.
Man, I am curious about the future. Like when I think about, because like YouTube
I'm not.
and stuff is like this all became relevant in our lifetime. It's like,
yeah.
So there's gonna come a point where it's like there are gonna be content creators that are like elderly relatively soon.
Yeah, there even are a few.
Yeah, but it'll be like like basically everyone who's on YouTube now who wants to continue being a YouTuber will be an elderly person on YouTube. And it's like in the same way that like,
it'll be like the novelty. Like, I'm the old man that still plays video games. How are you doing, kids? I say weird stuff like Bane references.
Kids? It's all gonna be old people watching Let's Plays.
I mean, I think
kids don't watch Let's Plays.
Well, yeah, but
in 40 years.
Our vocabulary is just a bizarre amalgam of stuff that no one understands anymore.
Yeah, righteous dude.
No one knows what we're referencing.
But then you might have audience members who are like the same age as us who just tag along because it's comfortable for them. In the same way that like adults now like will watch TV with people that they grew up watching TV with. Like,
this is just like in The Big Lebowski.
I don't like the idea that there'll be some kind of point in the future where it will be normal for me, an old man, to be watching like hot tub streamers on Twitch because it's what I grew up with. And someone's gonna be like, yeah, that's just what he's always watched. Like, Grandpa's always just watched those hot tub streamers.
Yeah.
Like, Grandpa's always watched mukbangs. Like,
yeah, like what a weird, I don't know, like what a weird world to imagine where instead of like,
we grew up in a
Sunday
world where like
football,
our parents would have like woman posters and shit around. Like, here's my hot babe calendar and my woman clock.
That is such a
stuff.
weird, like outdated. You know, my dad.
They still sell those.
My dad asked me about my brother because he was concerned that my brother didn't have stuff like that. Like,
yeah, you didn't have like women on your walls of your bedroom. I mean, so you were like, are you gay?
My dad's not at all. Like, he would not care if my brother was gay. In fact, he was more upset that my brother wouldn't tell him he was gay because he was like, I want him to be himself. And I thought that was really
that's
sweet.
The reason. Yeah.
But he's like, I don't want him to feel afraid to be himself. Like, do you think he's gay? And I'm like, and it's funny because my brother's like told me, he's like, everyone thinks I'm gay. Like, I'm not gay. I just like, I'm not gonna hang posters of chicks on my wall, Dad. Like, my dad's like, yeah, because like when I was growing up, I had stuff like that, and like he doesn't have anything like, he doesn't talk about girls with me. I'm like, he's not gonna talk about girls with you because you're his fucking dad. That's fucking weird. Yeah. Okay,
is it?
He talks about girls with me.
This is part of why people are so
Wait, that's not weird.
This is part of why people are so insecure and constantly performing their masculinity at each other constantly because they're terrified that anyone will just like assume they're gay if they don't.
That's so, I don't know. I get
There's nothing more fragile than masculinity.
I'm trying to think in my own, like growing up, I've always had that problem of like my father mostly was just assuming that I was gay. Because like, all you do is play video games and you never go outside and talk to girls. How are you going to meet girls? It's like, I don't know.
The
Like,
only
I
drive
don't-
in life. Nothing else matters.
Yeah, I was like, I don't care. I gotta beat Jurassic Park on the PS1. What do you
Joke's
want
on
from
you,
me,
Dad.
man?
Video games are gonna be my job.
Yeah, it's like, what do you want me to go have kids right now? I'm like 15 years old.
start
Like, what the
popping them
fuck's
out.
wrong with you? Like, it's, but it, you know, like it's so at some point it just, you hear it enough times where someone's like, are you gay? Are you gay? Are you gay? You're like, oh, I think they're just like weirdly saying this. I don't think it has any context. So you just kind of move on and you don't like think about it beyond that. And now when I think about like, I like try to think about like, do I even have anything that would like insinuate my sexuality on my wall?
You know, it's such a double
and it's
standard
like-
because nobody would ask me that. That's the thing, is like nobody would ever like you know, like
And you have a lot of women on your walls.
in fact, yeah, I'm the one with the weird fucking posters with naked chicks on the
Yeah.
walls. I mean, not like the classic, like, you know, not the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition ones,
Yeah.
but like
You've got a naked lady
I
hanging
literally
from your
have
fan,
one. I do,
your
yeah. I have a
ceiling fan.
Shibari rope figurine hanging from my fan. I literally have a poster of it's a really nice art print of like a nun getting head from a goat. It is so awesome.
Oh,
And like, so I'm the one with
she's
the
got,
weird
like,
porn on
Wiccan
my
stuff.
wall. I'm the one that like swings both ways, but nobody ever asked me if I was gay because, you know, if girls don't say anything about boys or girls or whatever, just everyone assumes that they're just a normal girl who
Well,
just
there's
doesn't
also
talk
the weird
about shit like
mentality that
that.
lesbians aren't real.
Well, I mean, people are more likely to say that
There's a-
bisexual people aren't
There's a
real.
whole
that's
weird
what I think. That's what
headspace
you meant. Yeah,
that-
you
but
meant
there's
bisexual
also,
people
well, yeah,
aren't
like
real.
there's this whole headspace that where people think that women only pretend to be interested in women for the benefit of men, basically, or they're like, it's like cute experimenting, not as a real thing. And so
well, you know,
on.
that
they'll
does
get
come
out-
up
that they'll
like
get over later.
in pop culture. You'll see more lesbian representation than gay
Yeah.
man representation
'Cause it's
because
more
it's more,
acceptable.
yeah, because it's like, oh, well, like that's cute, but like that's not cute. Two dicks, no.
It's also part of there's also like a sexual, I suppose sexualization might not be the word, but there's this idea that lesbians on screen is for the benefit of heterosexual men. So I don't know, maybe you're right, it's about just how cute it is, but also there's a certain level of just pure misogyny there.
Yeah,
I
like I
like
think
the
people who are
idea of just,
homophobic are
like-
more cool with lesbians than they would be with two gay guys because
I love that. That sounds great. I love the idea that it's like someone would be upset where it's like two guys kissing and they're romantically involved. Ugh, the only sword fighting I want to see is samurai warriors. Like what kind of weird, like, I don't like what, how is that any different? I don't know. Like seeing, well, I imagine like, isn't that
Yeah, I think you
how
have
gay
heard
sex
this
works?
before.
You
You're
just like
just-
slam
you're-
each other's dicks together and whoever like comes first wins.
I think
Like,
if you
that's
know,
the-
I think if you know what sword fighting is, you might already be like you already might be like in the gay group chat. Okay, like you might already have looked at some stuff if you know what sword fighting is.
Well, yeah,
that's
but
also, that's
but,
also
like, if
something
you're-
that happens though.
If you're
It's just
that
something that
repulsed,
happens,
it's
though?
like
I feel like
it's
people used to
no,
reference that in middle school.
No, that people who are the most hateful towards homosexuality it happens that are people who are actually interested in exploring their own sexuality in that regard, and that's
That
why
self-hatred.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
yeah. No, honestly,
I guess
the
I-
most homophobic people I've ever met was this guy in high school who like I thought was very I thought it was very common knowledge that this guy was gay because he would do that thing where he would flirt with girls but like in a way that came off like he was joking, you know, like, oh, you look hot today, and I was like, thanks.
Oh.
But it turns out I was dating this guy that was in a church group. I've always been an atheist. I just was there for nice support. And then he was there and he was talking so much shit on gay people, and I'm like, oh no, you hate yourself. And not like oh, I know for sure that you're gay, but like I would put all of my money right now on him being either outwardly currently or secretly a gay man. And it made me so sad because I was like, I think you really don't like yourself, dude.
I feel like I can relate a lot to that as a gamer.
Because you also don't like
Where is
yourself.
this going?
I really hate games, but I love playing video games. Like it's just I don't know. I never. I guess it's really hard to try. I struggle to empathize with people who don't want to, who want to hate something that they are. I don't know. I just hate yourself normally. I don't think you have to hate yourself for what you
Don't
what you
project
are.
your hate towards others.
Yeah,
basically.
don't take why you hate yourself and put it on other people. Just hate yourself. Like that's
just
normal.
keep it to
Everyone hates
yourself.
themselves.
Yeah, keep your hate for yourself to yourself.
Life advice from Andrew.
Yeah, you don't need to project your hate
Just
onto
cut out
other
the
people.
middleman.
You can
Hate
just
yourself.
Yeah, like why are you wasting your time being angry at other
Final
people?
point of
for...
advice: no further steps needed.
No, not at all. No, I mean you could go to therapy and hate a person for telling you that you are a thing that you hate, but like I guess that just sounds like a waste of money, honestly. But it's fine. It's your money. You can do what you want with it. It's just. I don't know. It's really hard to. I grew up around a lot of people who were unapologetically bad people. Like they had no issues just being the worst possible people, and they didn't hate they didn't hate other people or themselves. They were just awful people. And so to me, it's just like weird to see people who hate themselves but use it to hurt other people and not just be like, just I don't know. Just either be yourself and hate yourself or just hate yourself. Like I don't know why you have to like not be yourself and hate other people. That's such a weird it's such a weird choice to go down. Like I don't know.
Just fix one of these things. Like
yeah, just like if you're gonna actively hurt
one,
yourself, at least be yourself while you're hurting yourself. I don't know why you have to like suppress yourself and hurt yourself at the same time. It's such a weird it's like tying both of your feet together and swimming. Like don't why? Just like such a weird just go stand in the water until you can't anymore. It's fine to do that. Like you don't have to like struggle the whole time you're also trying to drown yourself. It's not necessary. It's such a weird
what a
thing.
metaphor.
This got so fucking confusing.
Well, no, I
I
understand. I mean, like as a chick, right? Like chicks hate each other. Like it's just one of those things that like comes up all the time. Like women just hate on other women constantly. And I'm like, guys, stop it! Like this is against our purpose. Like the divisiveness of us being so taught to be so insecure that we like project it on each other out of like we just hate each other constantly. Like it's not helping our cause. Like you talk to like feminists, they all fucking hate each other, and it's like, dude, you guys gotta team up. Like stop, and you guys got your own problems, gotta work through them. Stop projecting them on each other. Like chill, you gotta chill out. We gotta work together, okay? Teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's such a constant thing. Like it helps the patriarchy that women all hate each other, but we fucking do. Like
because you're raised kind of in a context of like
competitiveness and like your value is always in that girl's
comparison to
prettier
other
than
people.
you should hate her. Like that mentality is it's still rampant. Like
well, that was the moral of the podcast, everybody. Hate yourself.
Hate yourself and not others.
See you next week.
Yeah, don't hate other people, only yourself.
Andrew said the most beautiful sentence though. Go stand on the water until you just can't anymore.
He said drown yourself. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Oh, that was after that.
No, that was drowning. That's the drowning. Is the stay in the water.
Drown.
Yeah, no.
He said stand,
that's bad
though.
advice.
I didn't say go be Jesus until you can't anymore.
Okay, there was
not-
okay. I'm sorry.
Your misunderstanding tried to make it beautiful, but no, it was Andrew.
I like the interpretation. I like that interpretation. We should keep that nice, beautiful interpretation.
No, this is not a podcast that's telling you to kill yourself.
No. I meant the standing in the
not.
water until you can't anymore. Like that. I don't know. Maybe it's about resolve and not about killing yourself. Like
it sounds like a toad in hot water. Like just stay there until it's too hot and then just leave. Just get out. It's fine. Take a hot bath until it's too much. Like I guess
that is bad advice to a toad.
None of this was good advice. This is a train wreck. Good night, everybody.
None of us are qualified to tell you anything. Good night.
Gotta stop this.
Bye, guys.
Nope.